Sleep well, Mr. Farm Manager. Oh, my beauty, got a bonus for you tonight. Brought 4 lovely young ladies to visit you.
Right, he must have had the time of his life. Be like me with all line of chorus girls locked up in an hotel room for the night.
Yeah, you dirty old man, Jess. I didn't know you still had fantasies like that.
Oh, I'm not dead yet. Not even dead on my feet. Unlike that bull, eh, Ted?
It's no joke.
Come on, lad, you've got to see the funny side
He's
of it.
not getting away with it.
It seems to me he already has.
Oh, don't worry. It's nothing nature won't sort out in a couple of hours. Well, I've got plenty of calls to do this morning. I'll be seeing you, all right?
Aye. Aye, take care.
All right.
Do us a favour, Jess. Don't mention this to anyone.
Oh, I'd like to oblige you, lad, but I can't see as it'll make much difference. It'll be all round globe when Vet goes in for his lunchtime pint. Does he always come out to you so quick?
So he should on what Mr. Hastings pays him through the year.
Aye, money talks. I suppose if I paid my vet bills a bit quicker, they'd do the same for me.
I'm going to police, you know.
You've met yourself more of a laughing stock than you are now, Ted.
Bill Sullivan's been getting away with it for too long.
How do you mean?
He knows nought about farming and he thinks he can learn at our expense. He'd pinch anything he can lay his hands on. Hay, silage, straw.
Aye, I did have a bale or two go missing myself, but still you can't be sure it's him, Ted.
I can, and I'm going to put a stop to it. Farming's a business.
Not to me, lad.
Some of your herd needs serving. That's business.
I suppose so.
Him sneaking those scrub animals of his in here at dead of night. Well, that's trespass. But it's stealing. Well, call it what you like. It's got to be a crime, and I'm going to go to the police.
You are sure that's why your bull couldn't,
You heard the vet.
That's okay, then. Only if it was something else, I might have been able to help you, Ted.
How do you mean?
Well, wife's put some stuff out for church jumble sale. And there's a lovely little handbag in there that'd just suit that bull of yours.
Well, frankly, I'm rather surprised at your attitude, Jean. I thought you'd be pleased to have him with you.
Oh, don't mind me. I've just got this natural aversion to whiz kids.
Aye, the lad's mustard, all right. Outstanding cadet, top marks in his sergeant's exam. You give him 10 years, he'd probably outrank the pair of us.
Meantime, he just stops my patch for a few months. It's just going to look on us as a sort of waiting room for crime squad. You realise that?
Now, don't prejudge him. OK, so maybe he needs some rough edges knocked off him. But he's the sort of lad tomorrow's force is all about. Wheel him in, shall I?
Right, sir.
Come in, Sam.
Thank you, sir.
Sergeant Bloom. This is Inspector Darbley.
Pleased to meet you, ma'am.
Morning, Sergeant.
Isn't there somewhere else we can go and talk?
What's wrong with here?
Mr. Hastings' right, Bill. Why don't you go into the sitting room? I'll bring you a cup of tea in later.
Anything he's got to say concerns you as much as me.
As you wish.
Right, come on then, let's get on with it. Still got a lot to do today.
Yes, you have taken on a bit too much, haven't you? Pity, because I admire what you tried to do.
Oh, yeah?
It's not even as if you've got farming in your blood. What was it you did before you came here?
I was in demolition.
There are families who've been on the land for generations, wouldn't attempt what you're doing.
Yeah, well, we can't all afford a farm manager. I mean, some of us have to do it all ourselves.
You're wrong. I know what goes on my farm. And I know what you're trying to do can't work. You're too small.
In which case, we'll find out for ourselves in the end.
It'll be too late then. You'll have lost everything. Now, please, accept my offer. It's the last one I'll make, Sullivan.
I like it here. I don't want to sell.
There's more to life than cleaning ditches or milking cows. I'm putting the village shop up for sale soon. There'll be a lot less work for you, Mrs. Sullivan.
Look, if we wanted to buy a shop, we'd have stayed in Birmingham.
Perhaps that's just what you should have done. I'll say good day to you, Mrs. Sullivan.
Won't you stop for a cup of tea? The kettle's on the boil.
Another time. I'll leave you two to discuss this between you. Perhaps your husband would be interested in a woman's point of view.
Now, don't get upset, sir. I'm just trying to work out what needs doing.
I'll tell you what needs doing. You've got to get down there and sort him out.
But you've got no evidence that this Mr. Sullivan was responsible.
Ask any of the farmers round here. He's the only one who pull a stunt like this.
Yes, but we do have to work on the facts, sir. I mean, I don't understand much about farming. Is this some sort of test the vet can do to see which cows were involved?
What's the trouble, Martin?
This is Mr. Hastings' farm manager, Sarge. They've got this bull.
Hastings Emperor the Fourth.
And it seems that one of his neighbours got his cows onto Mr. Hastings' land last night and broke into the pen where this Hastings Emperor was kept.
Get away.
Must have been quite a night, Sarge. Because by this morning, the bull wasn't really interested in performing his duties at all.
Yes, well, that does present us with a problem, sir. Difficult to know exactly how to frame the charge, you see. Have to look that one up, I think. Bound to be a reference to it somewhere. Under animal husbandry, perhaps, or sexual assault.
Of course, you might find it a bit quiet round here after your previous postings.
Oh, I don't know. It's all a question of attitude, really, isn't it?
How do you mean?
Well, I reckon there's always plenty to do in this job if you look for it.
Maybe, but if you look for trouble, you sometimes help start it.
Sorry.
Part of your job is to be involved in the community. You get more cooperation that way.
Oh, I know all about community policing, ma'am.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, it's all right, up to a point. But I don't reckon it's part of a policeman's job to be everybody's friend. You can end up turning a blind eye when you should be nipping things in the bud.
That's about a lot.
Well, thanks very much.
Don't mention it.
Ah, Sergeant Bloom, just the lad I was looking for. You busy this evening?
No, ma'am.
Good. Then we'll have a chance to show you what community policing really means. Some of the lads help out on the day centre outing. Driving, lifting wheelchairs, that sort of thing.
Suppose I'll be roped in as usual?
Of course. I've been invited to sit in on the committee meeting tonight. It'll teach you something about good public relations, David.
More like boring to death.
He's got to get used to that, too. Besides, he will have one very important job to do.
Oh, what's that, ma'am?
To get me out before Mrs. Sangers pins me in a corner afterwards.
I reckon a forklift truck will be your best bet for that.
Excuse me just a minute. You were supposed to be rescuing me from her.
Yes, well, that didn't look too easy.
I'm disappointed, David. Mr. Logan said unarmed combat was one of your specialities.
Nobody give you a cup of tea, Mrs. Dabler?
I'm just going, actually.
Ah, I see. Well, it was good of you to come at all.
My pleasure.
I think it's all gone quite well, don't you?
Kind of you to let me use the house for the meeting, sir.
More convenience than kindness. I've had to have several business meetings here today, so it saved me a little bit of travelling time.
I see.
I've had a computer installed. As you can imagine, it's caused a bit of an upset.
I can imagine.
At least you're moving with the times.
I had it installed on Ted Margett's advice. Bright young man. My profit's been looking up since I took him on.
Well, they will do. More people should realise that microtechnology is just a new sort of servant, not some sci-fi monster. See a real revolution then.
You and Ted might have a lot in common. Of course, he does tend to take things a bit too seriously, hence that little upset.
Not at all. If an offence has been committed, he has every right to report it and expect something done.
Well, it is a valuable animal. We're selling him for AI, artificial insemination, as you know, and I think that Ted was a little worried that that fiasco might have upset the price. A question of infection and so on.
Of course, if it's that valuable, you really ought to think about tightening up your security.
Sort of male chastity belt, did you mean?
Wasn't quite what I had in mind.
Well, security's not easy, especially with 1,600 acres to look after.
No, but you really ought to think about it, Mr. Hastings. Your insurance company would have a fit if they could see how easy it would be to break into this house.
Don't tell me you've been sitting there all night counting the number of locks that can be picked.
A good police officer never goes off duty.
You really ought to do something about it, you know.
Well, I'd be happy to consider any suggestions you may care to make.
Sergeant Bloom here is acting crime prevention officer. I'm sure he'd be only too pleased to get things organised.
I do, Jess. Hey,
Just the man I wanted to see. Oh, aye. Plenty of spuds? Enough. I'll be out sometime to buy up my winter supply. 4 of them 25-kilo packs should do it. I'll put some by for you. 4 half-hundredweight. Oh, aye. I was forgetting you won't go metric. Started using decimal money yet, have you, Jess? One is decimal, all right. Else it wouldn't go so damn quick. What can I do for you? I had a bit of chain-link fencing over in my west field. Somebody's pinched it. Oh, yeah? Won a lot, you know, just what was left over. Only had a couple of repair jobs in it that had just suited. I see. Mafia moved in up your way, have they? You what? We don't normally get you blokes in here from one month to the next. Now, all of a sudden, we've had 3 farmers within a week reporting petty thieving. We're entitled. Of course you are, Jess. Right. Get down a few details, shall we? Chain link fencing, you say? Aye. How much was taken? Just what was over, not a lot. 4 or 5 yard, maybe. Could be more, could be less. And when was it taken? Hard to tell, really. I mean, you never notice so much missing till you need it, do you? Been up there a month or 2. You don't want to leave stuff lying about, Jess. It's an invitation to thieving. It's my land. Yeah. It's not going to be easy to find out who took it, though, is it? Not on what you've given us. It's all a bit vague. I know who took it. It was Bill Sullivan. His land borders onto my Westfield, and it was seeing him doing repairs that reminded me I had a few. Well, why didn't you say so in the first place? He's not a bad lad, really. He's just bitten off more than you. How do you mean? Well, there's not a lot of money to be made at what he's doing. Look, I'd just like one of you lads to go up and have a quiet word with him. Let him see he can't put things right at other folks' expense. I see. Spuds will be ready when you want them, Joe.
Well, that's good, you know, because real lead can be stripped away, and then, of course, the individual pain removed very easily.
Well, what's the verdict, Sergeant Bloom?
Well, I've seen worse.
Good.
Then again, I've seen a lot better. I don't know if there's a market for hot combine harvesters, but you've got a lot of valuable equipment here that could do with more care.
Oh, well, Ted's the man to talk to about that. He runs the farm.
I've been taking notes, Mr. Hastings. It all seems pretty sensible.
And you'd be wise to spend some money in the house, too. Front door's like Fort Knox, but that's not the way they'd come in. So I've suggested bars on all the windows.
Right.
Of course, I'd favour an electronic system myself. Some of the new ones can even differentiate between different sounds.
Really?
Yeah, mind you, they are pricey. But you're always going to have problems here with the place being business as well as domestic. You got people coming in and out all day.
Yes, well, we have had rather a lot of pilfering over the last year or so, but then with a business this size, I suppose I've just got to write that off.
No, and we do take on casuals. Then there's a relief milk.
Well, you should at least try to get people to be more security-minded. Open door, for instance. Invitation to a thief these days.
Yes, I see enough of that as a JP. Still, it would be a sad world if we couldn't trust anybody, Sergeant.
You don't always do someone a favour by trusting them, sir. I'll leave you these leaflets to be getting on with them.
Boots! How many times have I got to tell you to get your mucky boots off before you come in here?
Blimey, you're in a rotten mood tonight.
You went out without opening the post this morning.
Yeah, well, I've got a lot on at the moment.
Well, let's hope it's profitable.
I managed to scrounge some spares for the tractor up Old Vickery today. They're not easy to come by. Now I used to carry them on the ark.
Is it working now?
What, the ark?
The tractor?
Yeah, just about. Vickery let me have them cheap so I could buy my pint. That's where I was at dinner time.
I wanted to talk to you.
Talk away.
Rates, water rates, electricity.
Yeah, thought they were about due.
Overdue? We've had the red ones. These are the dear sir unless. Of course, there's other ones back there, but they're being more polite about it at the moment.
Well, at least the gas board ain't threatening to cut us off.
We haven't got gas.
Just trying to look on the bright side. Look. We knew it was going to be hard for the first couple of years.
I thought I could maybe try and get a job for a while.
There's not much about. I ain't got enough work to do here. We both have.
We've got to do something.
Saved by the bell.
if I come in? Mr. Sullivan, innit?
Yeah, pull up a chair.
Would you like a cup of tea?
No, not for me, thank you, Mrs. Sullivan. Don't let me stop you, though.
Don't worry, you won't.
Is there something wrong?
A few local farmers have had things go missing. Bits and pieces, you know. Bale of hay here, bit of silage there, a few yards of chain link. Have you had anything nicked?
Nah, not that I've noticed.
Oh, you've been lucky then.
Yeah, looks like it.
Then there was that business with Mr. Hastings' bull. You must have heard about it. It's the big joke in your village.
Yeah, I think somebody did mention it, didn't they, love?
You haven't got very many cows yourself, have you, Mr. Sullivan?
No, just the 4. We haven't got much land. 0 graze what we have got.
Yeah, it's a specialised market. We sell all our produce through health food shops. We do a very good line in cream cheese with walnuts. Perhaps you'd like to try it?
Not at the moment, thank you. Where do you get your cows served?
I can't remember the name of the place exactly. Applebrook Farm, I think it was, something like that.
Well, there'll be a record of it, won't there? And you could take me to meet the owner of the bull. I think, what with all the jokes that have been going about, Mr. Hastings doesn't want to hear too much more about it, so he's not keen on pressing charges. He's entitled to the serving fees, of course. I'm afraid the beast has a pedigree as long as your arm, so it doesn't come cheap. Still, it'd be in your interest to settle up as quickly as possible. As to the other bits, I don't see much future in dusting bales of hay for fingerprints. But if it gets to be a habit, we'll find out who's doing it, and he'll be inside so fast his feet won't touch. I'm sure you know what I mean. Good day to you, Mr. Sullivan. Mrs. Sullivan?
Hey, Jess! Jess! Have you got a minute?
What do you want?
It's about that bit of chain link I borrowed.
Oh, aye.
Yeah, well, it had been lying about so long I didn't think you noticed. But Kate reckoned it was well out of order.
She's right, lad.
Fence is down your side on that Westfield again. I thought if I fixed it, we could call it quits.
That sounds fair enough.
After all, we don't want to fall out, not now we're in the same boat.
How do you mean?
Well, I hear Hastings after buying your place and all.
Oh, he'll buy out everybody round here in the end.
Yeah, you mean that damn manager of his.
Oh, Ted's all right. His father used to own the lead farm, you know.
Oh, what?
Aye. Hastings bought that place up while Ted was away at agricultural college. Bit of a shock for the lad, I suppose. He was hoping to get that place himself.
Yeah, well, he's gone over to the other side now, hasn't he? With bells on.
Happen it suits him. I mean, he can do things now he'd never have started on his own, that's for sure.
Have you heard his expansion plans? Battery ends, intensive field. It's factory farming.
Some people call it progress, lad.
Not you, though.
No. I've been with stock all my life, and I reckon every creature's entitled to its bit of freedom. Still, it's his land.
Look, if everyone talks like that, they'll own half the country before long.
Probably will anyway. Let me give you a bit of advice, lad. It's not worth getting angry over things you can do nought about.
It's hard not to when I spent all week scraping enough money together to pay them serving fees.
Better than having the law round your neck, isn't it?
Oh, I'd like to stuff it down Ted Margett's throat.
Happen to be enough room, too. There's a big mouth on him, as Ted.
You're still £5 short.
You what?
You've got to pay something for the inconvenience. I don't know anybody else who expects to get their cows served in the middle of the night.
You know how hard it's been for me to get that money together?
Go back to the police if you prefer.
Three.
That's better, Mr. Sullivan. Pleasure to do business with you.
Look, I wouldn't ask if I didn't have to, but...
No discounts, very sorry. That's not how we do things round here.
You're checking on casuals, ain't you, to knock them buildings down?
Aye, I'll be sorting out this afternoon.
Well, demolition used to be my trade.
But you didn't stick to it.
Look, I could do with a few days' work. I haven't even got enough to cater house.
Very kind offer, Mr. Sullivan, but I think I'll have enough applicants to choose from.
Whatever you think of me, I'm a good worker. I'll do a better job than anyone else you'll get.
Clear off, Sullivan.
Look, you've had your money. At least give us a break now, will ya?
Said get out.
What are you trying to throw me out?
You aren't a charge of assault to everything else the police have got on you.
What's the matter, Marge? It's caught you fight your own battles.
Not when I got the police to do it for me. I don't keep a dog and bark myself.
Ah, you creep.
Get out, Sullivan. I never want to see you on this farm again, understand?
I'll make you sorry. However long it takes, I promise.
You think so? Well, we'll see. We'll see who's sorry, Sullivan. Right, now these show each of our different crops. For instance, winter barley, winter wheat, oilseed rape. At the press of one more button. The decision disc will tell us our exact requirements for the next 12 months. And to the last penny, how much we're going to spend and how much we're going to make.
Very impressive. Suppose you'll be looking for a large rise in salary next year.
Bill Sullivan turned up this morning.
Oh, aye. Came to pay his debts, did he?
He had the cheek to ask me for 3 days' work.
And did he give them to him?
Well, casuals, 10 a penny just now. Besides, I wouldn't use him if he were the last man in the county.
Well, he must have been a bit desperate to have asked.
No, he's on his uppers, all right. Started threatening me when I said no.
Well, do you think we ought to see the police again?
No, it's just hot air. Man, I shan't be sorry to see the last of him.
Oh, we could have a long wait. He's a very stubborn man, is Mr. Sullivan.
Stupid, I'd call him. There's no way he could make a go of that place. But people like him shouldn't be given good farming land, even if it is only a few acres.
Ah, but useful acres, remember?
You mean the access agreement Jess Redfern's got with him?
Aye, well, I'd want the same if I bought Redfern's place. Can't just transport stuff for miles just to get to a main road.
Well, I can't see us getting any agreement with Sullivan.
No, but wait a while and we may be able to buy the land from the receiver when he goes bankrupt.
Solve a lot of problems all round.
Aye. Well, is that all you wanted me for?
Except for your signature. I'll need the cash to pay the casuals.
All right.
Been quite a few calls for you while you've been out, Mum. They're on your desk.
Anything urgent?
No, not really. Mrs. Sanger's been round in person.
I was lucky to miss that, wasn't I?
She's on another diet. Gave me a calorie-by-calorie breakdown of me 11s. Took all the fun out of it.
Oh, that reminds me. I got you a present.
What is it?
Cream cheese with walnuts. It's local.
Sullivan's Dairy. Oh, the Midnight Cowboy.
It's a present from his wife.
She's okay. Got her hands full with him, though, I reckon.
Well, let's hope she can keep him in check from now on.
There was one other thing, Mum.
Oh, yeah?
Young smart Alec's been giving me the benefit of his theories on police procedures.
Sergeant Bloom, not the most tactful of souls.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure he's a great time and motion expert, but we're quite happy muddling through in our own way here.
I'll mention it.
I've seen a few of the programmes.
Oh, yeah.
By accident, you know, when I've turned on for something else.
You sending me up?
Just a bit. How long will it take you to get your degree?
About 6 years.
Let me now. You're not married, are you? Why don't you get out and enjoy yourself while you still can?
This'll do my career more good than down in pints.
Got to sergeant quick enough anyway. There's a lot waited years after they pass the exam.
Means a lot to my parents, me getting on. Anyway, there's nothing wrong with being king.
Oh, nothing that experience can't cure anyway.
Hartley Police. Right, sir. We'll get somebody round there straight away.
Yeah, well, it's always the way with only children, isn't it?
Ah, just the man.
Trouble?
Yeah, and I'm afraid it's not much of a compliment to you.
Eh?
You did the crime prevention chat at Hastings' place, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, he's just been burgled, and his manager's been assaulted. You better get round there and pick up the pieces.
Right.
Feel better for that, do you?
Much.
Sergeant?
How are you feeling now, sir?
Still a bit shaken up.
Ah, well, we'll get some details down. As soon as we do that, sooner we can get whoever it was.
We're all a bit quick.
We'll just start at the beginning, try and remember as much as you can.
Well, I went into town. I had a few things to do for Mr. Hastings, and I got the money out to pay the casuals.
And how much would that be?
Not a lot, just for the day. 80-odd pounds all told. Got back to the office. The place was... well, you can see the state of it. I came in this door, and there must have been a bloke behind it. Well, he came at me sharpish, whacked me in the stomach, and took all the wind out of me.
Did you get a good look at him?
Oh, I think he was wearing one of those ski mask things. Like I said, it were a bit quick. I've got this old satchel that I carry the money in. He grabbed that, pushed past me and ran off. Shouted for help, but there was nobody about. Then I heard a car start up in the lane.
I see. Did you see anyone when you arrived? I mean, did you notice a car then?
I wouldn't expect to see anybody. I mean, all our blokes are at work at that time of day.
What else was taken from the office?
Well, we've checked around. There's not a great deal of value to take. I mean, a bit of petty cash, a few stamps. My guess is he was giving the place a good going over when Ted here interrupted him.
But there are a few papers missing. No, they're not worth a lot, but they'll cause a lot of bother.
And the money? How many people would know you'd be carrying cash in that satchel?
Oh, anybody could have worked it out. I mean, we always pay our casuals cash by the day, and with unemployment as it is, well, the word soon gets round when we need labour.
So we're dealing with a pretty long list of suspects then?
No, I'm not so sure. I know most of the chaps round here, and I don't think many of them would get involved in a thing of this sort.
Well, we get a few drifters, of course, and...
And?
I just thought of something. I said I heard a car. It didn't start first time. Sounded like a bit of an old banger.
Well, there's plenty of those about.
Oh, but I know someone who's got one. I'm not saying he'd do a thing like this, but... well, he did turn nasty the other day. He wanted a few days casual, and I said no.
Sullivan?
Right.
Right, sir. Perhaps you'd like to tell me what you've been up to today.
What's all this about?
Mr. Hastings' farm office has been burgled. He's had some papers gone and some money nicked.
Bill wouldn't do anything like that.
I didn't say he had. Just needs a bit of cooperation, then we can eliminate him from the inquiry. Well, sir?
I don't keep a minute-to-minute diary of me day.
I'm not expecting one. Just a rough idea, eh?
Well, I had a few jobs about the place, you know.
Like what?
I finished the milking about 8. Then I was bringing in the last of the spuds.
Anyone confirm this?
No, I work on my own. Don't have any farm labourers here, you know. We're not like Hastings. We do it ourselves.
I see.
I met Jess Redfern. Chatted to him for a bit.
What time would that be, sir?
About 11, I suppose.
And after that?
Had a few drinks at dinner time. Maybe too many. Look, it's difficult to pin things down to the exact minute.
Well, perhaps I can help. One of the labourers at Mr. Hastings' place says he saw your car parked in the lane by the farm. Now, what would you be doing up there, sir?
Look, we've had a few problems lately. And I wanted to get a few things straight in my mind, see? So I went for a drive and then I walked down by the river there.
Now, even though Mr. Margits had made it quite clear he didn't want to see you up there again. It's a bit thin, isn't it? Look, everybody knows how you feel about Hastings and Margits, so why choose to go walking up there when you've got land of your own? And where's your car now, sir? It's not outside, is it?
Be in the car park at the Globe. I told you I had too much to drink. I walked back.
Oh, yes. I was forgetting what a keen walker you are. Look, Sullivan, I don't think you've quite understood what's going on. The game's up. This is where you say you got me banged to rights and all that rubbish. You sign a statement like a good lad and we all get home early for once. We've got enough to charge you with. We got enough for a conviction.
Well, why didn't you get on with it then?
Because believe it or not, I'm trying to help you.
But why didn't you charge me or let me go?
It's like the man says. We're trying to help.
We know all about you, though. Got a bit of previous, haven't you? Eh? D&D, the odd punch-up.
OK. So I'm a bit daft when I've had a few drinks, but this is different, isn't it?
Oh, you're dead right. This is a serious crime. Now, you keep spouting not guilty, and that is public money wasted on a trial with a result as clear as day. Now, people are fed up with this sort of thing, you know. Nobody's going to be sorry to see you get put away for it.
So what's the alternative? Perhaps it's a bit closer to the truth. You got made redundant. You've had a hard time trying to start a new life. You've got a wife to support and you're well in debt. It was a spur-of-the-moment job and you're sorry now. OK, you spent a few bob in the pub, but you'll pay the rest back. Plead guilty and look for mercy. You've got to have a better chance than trying to tough it out.
I didn't do it. I never went near the place.
Oh, sorry, just going home, are you?
Yeah, was it important?
Well, I don't know. Mrs. Sullivan asked if she could see you. CID is still talking to her husband.
There's not much I can do by the sounds of it, George.
No. It looks like a teen sympathy job. I can handle it.
No, it's all right. I'll see you. I've forgotten what an early night's like anyway.
Mrs. Sullivan, Mum.
Come in, Mr. Sullivan, sit down.
Thanks for seeing me.
That's okay. But I should tell you at the start that your husband's case is a CID matter, and I don't think there'll be much I can do.
I see. Look, Inspector, I know Bill seems wild, but there's more to him than that.
There usually is, love.
I know him better than anyone. I know his good points, and I know his faults. I've had to live with him long enough. He might get into a scrap when he's had a few drinks. But they say he went to the pub afterwards this time.
He did threaten Marge's. He's admitted that himself.
Yeah, well, doesn't that tell you something? He's not a criminal. He wouldn't do something like this.
I'd like to believe you, but there is a lot of evidence pointing the other way.
Yeah, well, maybe you haven't heard all of it yet.
Look, if you know something that might help, for goodness sake, let's hear it.
I just know. Sorry to have wasted your time, Mrs. Darplay.
George, will you ask Mr. Logan if you can spare Sergeant Bloom for a minute?
Would you like a cup of tea while you're waiting, love? Might be some time.
No, I ought to be going. One of the cows has got mastitis, and I'd like to have got the vet out, but we haven't paid his bill in a while. I'll come back later.
So you did talk to Mrs. Sullivan?
Of course.
Did she tell you anything at all?
Well, I didn't expect her to. You're not going to get anything out of a villain's wife, are you?
That depends. She seems a nice enough woman to me.
Well, the thing is, she knows he's guilty, so she's just clammed up tight.
I reckon there might be more to it than that.
No, it's all right, ma'am. We can get a result without her help.
All right, Sullivan, let's have it again from the beginning.
No, not again. You don't believe me, so what's the point?
Convince me. How did the bag get in your car?
I don't know, unless one of you lot put it there.
Don't come that
Save
far,
it, lad. Why did you go up to Hastings' place?
I told you, for a walk.
You don't like Margits, though, do you?
Well, that's not a crime.
You threatened him, that's a crime.
So I lost me temper.
You went up there to get your own back.
No.
Mrs. Darpley.
There isn't much time. If you know anything at all, we've got to follow it up now.
The thing is, I don't know if it's going to help or make things worse.
Well, you're the only judge of that, as long as you keep it to yourself. But from where I'm sitting, he needs all the help he can get.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sending you on a pub crawl, George.
Oh, thanks very much.
I want you to flush Eddie Parsons out of whatever bar he's settled in for the night.
Bit of Globe of the Crown and Sceptre, I should reckon. He's banned from most of the others.
Well, when you find him, bring him in. I want a word.
Right.
Quick as you can, eh?
Right.
Matter of fact, it suits us fine. Maybe if Malado kicks his heels in a cell for a bit, he'll come back feeling a bit more cooperative.
He's obviously lying.
You reckon?
Of course he is. Trying to make out I planted that bag in his car?
You mustn't be so sensitive, David. You get accused of all sorts in this game. Manufacturing evidence, beating up suspects, taking bribes. You just do your job, keep your head down.
That's what I try to do. Mind you, with respect, sir, I don't see that Inspector Darbley should be involved in this. It's not her case.
You've still got a lot to learn, son. Don't you take your cue from the Flash Boys on Crime Squad, zooming around in fast cars and calling the uniform branch wooden top.
But, sir, it's...
But nothing. This is still our case. We're having a cup of tea and a biscuit, that's all, taking a well-earned break. Now, meanwhile, if Inspector Darbley likes to clock up some unpaid overtime, that's her business. I mean, she might turn up some fresh evidence that will save us a lot of bother.
Yes, sir.
Never look a gift horse in the mouth, David. Just make sure that you get the credit for it. That's what cooperation is all about.
Waste of good drinking time, is this?
You make up for it, Eddie. Sit down, please. If we wanted to find you in the middle of the night, you'd be propping up a bar somewhere.
Aye, and you'd make damn sure landlord lost his licence and all.
It's not after-hours drinking we're interested in tonight.
Mind you, when we are, this is the bloke to follow.
Don't know what you're on about.
You've been taking on an apprentice, Eddie.
Apprentice?
You could teach these youngsters a thing or two, eh? Eddie Parsons, king of the poachers. There's none better than you, they tell me.
Aye. Take a lifetime to learn what I know. Not that they're going for that sort of thing anymore, do you understand?
Don't give us that, Eddie. You'll not retire till you're 6 foot under.
That won't be so long now. Not the way my chest's been playing me up.
We know you've been poaching today, Eddie.
Knowing's one thing. Proving's another.
Yes, well, we haven't done that too often in the past. And we're not really interested in doing it tonight.
Then what did Sergeant Parrish come dragging me out of a nice warm pub for?
Burglary. And assault.
You what? Hey, I'm not in that league.
No, but you are the only one who could help us get at the truth.
I don't know what you're on about. Besides, why should I help you?
It's Bill Sullivan you'll be helping, and before you jump to any conclusions, it wasn't him that gave us your name.
I can believe that. He's not a bad lad, for a brummie. Hey, it's never him you've got down for this.
He's in the frame at the moment.
Well, I'd like to help the lad, but I don't know what I can do. After all, I didn't see no burglary.
Let's start when you and Sullivan met up this afternoon.
Yes, someone's reported it earlier, madam. There's an officer on his way. No, you did the right thing. Yeah, thanks very much for calling.
More trouble?
Not really. Bit of a disturbance at a youth club disco. Nothing a couple of heavy metal records wouldn't put right by the sound of it. How about the Sullivan case? That all cleared up now?
I reckon we're on the last lap, yeah.
Well, I thought we'd see an end to it. No way helping you.
Don't you start.
Thank you for coming in at such short notice, Mr. Margett.
I'd like to see this cleared up once and for all.
Oh, I'm sure we all would, sir. I expect you'll be pleased to hear that Sullivan has accepted my advice and decided to plead guilty.
Well, that just about wraps it up then, doesn't it?
Not quite.
Well, if he's admitted it, I don't see what else you need.
Oh, I think you've misunderstood us, Mr. Margett. Bill Sullivan has admitted to poaching. That's why I was on Hastings Land this afternoon.
But that doesn't prove he didn't do the burglary.
No, that's very true, sir. But, well, there was another man involved with the poaching, and, when we came to look at all the statements, we were left with a few inconsistencies.
We're hoping you'll be able to help us clear them up.
Naturally, I'll do whatever I can.
As far as we can make out, Sullivan met up with Eddie Parsons, and they decided to go up to Mr. Hastings' land and do a bit of poaching.
Oh, not for the first time.
No. They took Sullivan's old banger and parked it just off the lane. You probably saw it when you got back from town.
I'd have mentioned it if I had.
Oh, I think he wanted you to see it, sir. It was a bit like the incident with the bull. He was thumbing his nose at you.
Oh, he's got it in for me. He's shown that already.
Now we come to the first inconsistency. Sullivan never went back to the car. They got themselves a brace of pheasant, and Eddie, being the smart lad he is, he'd already got a buyer lined up. So he took them down into the village in the car, leaving Sullivan to go down to the Globe on foot to get the first couple of pints lined up.
We've checked their story against the Times. It all fits.
So we're left with person or persons unknown. Or we would be, if it wasn't for inconsistency number 2. The bag and the mask.
How did they get into Sullivan's car? That did seem the clincher, after all.
And what about those farm records? I mean, what the hell would Sullivan want with those? The Beano's more his mark. I mean, who stood to gain from their loss?
Just what are you trying to make out?
Well, this is just a theory at the moment, sir, so you stop us if you got a better idea. You came back. You realised they were doing a bit of poaching. You'd had a belly full of Sullivan. You should have phoned us there and then.
But you saw a different sort of opportunity.
All right, Mrs. Sullivan, you can take him home now.
Thanks.
That would be great. What if we didn't have to see him again?
I'll be keeping a tighter rein on him in future, don't you worry.
Bear in mind, you might not be so lucky next time.
Yeah, reckon I owe your inspector, eh?
Well, don't try paying her back with pheasant or rabbit. You're back in them cells before you can say knife.
I had no idea. I thought Margits and I got on quite well together. Comes as rather a shock to find out that he hates me.
You took over what should have been his farm. At least that's the way he sees it.
So to pay you back, we reckon he's been lining his pockets at your expense every chance he got?
At first, Bill Sullivan's habits made him a useful scapegoat. But the business with the bull made Margits look a fool. So when he saw a chance of getting Sullivan put away and getting rid of some farm records which could have been incriminating, he took it.
Plus another 80 quid into the bargain.
Can you prove all this in court?
Oh, I think so. Sergeant Bloom is a whiz with microchips. You might be surprised what he can coax out of your computer.
Bit to learn about people, though, ma'am.
We all have, Sergeant. We all have.
Morning. Morning. Can I ask you if you noticed anything unusual in that manoeuvre you just made?
It was a totally blind turning, officer.
You mean like needing to stop to see if anything was coming?
I can only say I'm sorry.
I'm afraid I might have to insist you say a bit more than that, sir. Hello, Rose. He'll be on the Continental lorries again then, is he?
Never you mind.
What exactly do you intend doing, Constable?
Sergeant, sir. Sergeant Beck.
I don't intend to be uncooperative at all, Sergeant. You can surely see that.
Do it often, do you?
What?
Park in the woods.
It's a fine view.
Licence, sir, please.
Mr. Pendle has established relations with the European community.
Rose. Charlie Pendle, is it?
Charles, yes.
Builder.
Developer.
New secondary modern, year before last.
It wasn't his fault. Load of cowboys on that job, weren't they? Turn your back, they did all sorts in that cement. No wonder half of it fell down.
Rosie.
That's what you said.
You may be hearing from us, sir.
May?
Probably.
No time for breakfast, then?
I can't all have it laid on for us in the morning.
Morning.
Morning, Mal.
Morning.
Didn't your mother ever tell you about elbows on the table, Joseph?
Correspondence, ma'am.
You got crumbs down your front.
There's been a disturbance in Saracen Street. Gallagher's just radioed in.
You're not going to tell me anything more?
A bailiff went to number 49 with an eviction order some of the local residents didn't approve. When Gallagher got there, they scattered. They'd said about the bailiff.
What happened?
Somebody poured a container of an as yet unidentified liquid over him from an upstairs window.
I don't find that funny, Sergeant. Sounds very much like assault to me. Where's Gallagher now?
He's still in Saracen Street.
Well, I shall want to know more about it than that, Joseph. You've missed a bit.
You will, ma'am. The bailiff's on his way in.
Mr. Knowles, isn't it?
Yes, unexpected. Those radios, like your other fellow had, generally available, are they? Very handy they'd be in my line of work, you know. Cut out a lot of unnecessary misunderstanding if I had direct access to a bit of recognised authority. I'm the bailiff, you see.
I know that, Mr. Knowles.
I approach each door with a strictly neutral attitude. That has to be said. Misunderstandings make me nervous.
I think Inspector Darbley would like a word, sir.
All this'll have to be typed out when I get back.
Come in.
Mr. Knowles, ma'am.
Oh, yes, Mr... Please sit down, Mr. Knowles.
Let me back tire down, didn't they? Call themselves women. Hooligans more like. One of them had a ferret.
Did you recognise any of them?
Vicious things.
We shall find whoever's responsible, Mr. Knowles.
Never stop biting till the teeth meet, you know. Ferrets.
Yes. Well, can we start at the beginning, do you think? You went to serve an eviction notice at 49 Saracen Street.
Yes, a Mr. and Mrs. Williams Stamp. Most of the rest of the terrace are gone by now. Sensibly, I might add. The whole area's up for redevelopment. I mean, what's the point of them hanging on when they'll have to go at the end? Anyway, I knocks on the door, all polite, even lifted me hat when she came to the window. The ways of doing these things. Next thing I know, well...
Yes, I see. So you're saying it was this Mrs. Stamp who threw the water over you?
Oh, yes, yes. I'm used to it. I had a trained parrot set about me once. Now, that surprises you, doesn't it? I couldn't tell anybody that, you know. It has to be somebody trained to understand.
Mr. Knowles, the others, the women in the street.
An African grey.
What?
The parrot. An African grey. Most books recommend them as ideal pets. I have to say, that's not been my experience.
About the women, Mr. Knowles.
All over they were, shouting. Words I wouldn't want to hear from a woman again, I can tell you.
Did they actually attack you?
Block the way. I don't like ferrets. Anything that kills rabbits can't be up to much. Harmless creatures, rabbits.
Mr. Knowles, I have to know whether you were actually assaulted.
Could have been, easily. No, your lad arrived, didn't he? They took off them.
And did you recognise any of them?
No. I'd know that bloody ferret if I saw it again, though.
Purely on a matter of procedure, Constable, in cases of assault, I should prefer to hear the details from the officer at the scene rather than from the victim later. Does that sound unreasonable?
He wouldn't get out of the car, ma'am. He'd locked himself in and kept insisting he was going to report the matter to you personally.
Did you ask him nicely? I realise you only have one pair of hands, David, but you could have called for assistance.
I radioed into Sergeant Beck to tell him Mr. Knowles was on his way. He'd a flat tyre, he shouldn't even have been driving on it. Well, I must have turned my back for a moment. Next thing I knew, there he was. Gone.
It wasn't exactly his tyre I was thinking about. Mr. Knowles was attacked while serving a court order. Doesn't that strike you as vaguely illegal?
They were all running when I arrived, ma'am. I just found him sitting in his car mumbling something about women. He couldn't remember anything else except he reckons one of them had a ferret.
Have a look about, Joseph. Somebody must know something. Mrs. Stamp?
Might be.
I'm Inspector Darbley, Hartley Police. I'd like to talk to you, please.
He only got what he deserved. Kept banging. After I told him to go away.
Could I come in, do you think?
No one comes in.
Just me.
Local, are you?
I like to think so now.
He wasn't either.
It wouldn't take long. I promise to leave whenever you say.
All right. Come in, then.
Thank you.
This is Mr. Stamp.
You on the ambulances?
I'm a police inspector, Mr. Stamp. My name's Darbley, Jean Darbley.
Go on.
You're welcome to sit for a while.
Would you like some tea?
Well...
There's shortbread.
Thank you.
Sofa's come first.
What you did to Mr. Knowles, you know, was technically an assault.
Not likely to go back then, is he?
Mrs. Stamp, about the house. I think perhaps I should explain a few facts. It may be that you don't really know the true situation. There might be some confusion.
They want us out. We're not going. No confusion.
I'm afraid the law says you must go.
Don't know nothing about that.
Well, you must have had various letters from the council.
I never read them. I send the stamps to my sister in Canada, Ontario. She collects.
The whole terrace is due for demolition. They're going to redevelop the area. You'd have been offered alternative accommodation.
But we don't need no alternative. We've already got a house.
The property here is very old.
So are we.
Everything must come to an end, Mrs. Stamp, sooner or later. That's how things are.
That's how some folk want it to be more like. We've been in this house since we were wed. Never a day out of it, really. One keen on holidays, Dad and me. This is where our lives were. That's a sort of law, isn't it?
I really wish it was that simple.
We're making it simple, lass. We're not going.
Have you any family?
No.
Did you really have horses, Mr. Stamp?
Oh, them were my dad's. He started the business, I carried on. Like father, like son, don't they say? And so it were, right up until... Oh, grand old fellas they were. Zack, we called that one. 6 we had. I cut 'em down, well, I had to. Then I bought the motor. It were the first petrol hearse in town, it were. Oh, it were a good business. You get to bury a lot of folk over the years.
I can understand you must have a reason, Mr. Stamp. A reason for not wanting to go.
Folks don't need no reason for sticking to their own hearths.
Can I come and see you again, perhaps?
But you haven't had your tea.
It was very nice of you, Mr. Stamp, but I really must be going.
Oh, take a shortbread, then. It'll come in handy.
Thank you.
You can come, but it won't make no difference.
You'll stop them throwing us out then, will you?
I'll make some inquiries, Mr. Stamp, and then I'll come back, all right? Goodbye, Mrs. Stamp.
She'll find out.
How then? Who's to tell her?
She's the sort. Her sort always find out. What would they do if they found out? Lock us up, would they?
What did you find out?
Bit of a conspiracy of silence, ma'am. Gallagher's still at it.
There's a door towards the rear of the front room. All the houses must have been the same.
Cellar. It'll have been the cellar, ma'am.
Bolted and barred. When I looked at it, I don't know, something prickled. Under the collar, you know? You know the feeling?
Got the money down there, I expect. The old uns round here aren't very keen on banks.
Right. Let's go, Joseph.
What do I do to report something lost?
Well, you talk to me about it first, and then we all do our bit to find it.
You the one on duty then?
Every week with a Friday in it.
Must be dead boring at times.
So, who's lost what then?
Me, an earring.
Are we talking about an item of value?
I wouldn't know. Personally, it was a gift from a friend.
Description then?
Well, they were sort of long, I suppose you'd say, and when you shook your head, you could feel them on your neck like. Dead sexy they were.
That's not much to go on. Haven't you got the other one?
Well, not on my person, no.
Where did you lose them?
Oh, it's a bit difficult to say. It could have been one of a lot of places, depending on the night.
Which places?
Well, is that necessary?
You don't want us to find it?
Well, couldn't you just, like, keep your ear to the ground? I don't want no trouble.
Trouble?
Well, I don't want to cause no trouble.
Name and address, then.
What? Well, can't I just pop in, like, now and again? Sort of. Well, who do I ask for, like, if you're not here, then?
Beck. Always insist on seeing Sergeant Beck. A sympathetic ear. He's known for it.
Right. Well, thanks. I'm sure you'll find it.
Being ever so humble, Inspector, we're only borough engineers, you know, not the Lord Chief Justice of England.
It's not the legality of the order I'm questioning, Mr. Nathan. I'm simply saying that if a little more time was granted, we might be able to arrange a more satisfactory solution.
I spent a whole afternoon with Mrs. Stamp. I explained everything. All I got for my pens was half a pound of shortbread and an earful of anecdotes about what my late aunt used to get up to in Sunday school.
Well, I'd like to try again, Mr. Nathan. All I'm asking for is your cooperation.
We sent them 5 letters, Inspector.
Yes, I know, but they don't read them, you see.
Oh, so you know about the sister in Canada? Look, I'll see what I can do. But, no promises, mind. At best, it'll not be worth more than a couple of days.
I am grateful, Mr. Nathan. Thank you. I'll keep in touch.
You're welcome.
Come in. Ah. Sit down, George. Right. 5 of our largest houses, according to last month's figures. Passing through, would you say, or taking up residence?
Oh, they'll not be local, ma'am. They know what they're looking for. Silver mostly, Georgian at that. Cutlery, candlesticks, nothing too big. My guess is they're from the south. Up the motorway one day, back down the next.
Which leaves us with the age-old problem of prevention being better than cure. We're going to have to re-educate our bit of landed gentry, George. They've got to be made to realise that it doesn't just happen to other people's houses.
Yes, ma'am.
Right, another memo, then. Tell me, George, what you know about the stamps?
Stamps?
Saracen Street.
Oh, the eviction business. Well, not much, really. They've always kept themselves to themselves. They're liked, though. Most people have a good word for them.
No family?
Had a daughter. Died young. No more than a year or 2 old, they say. Biggest funeral old Billy ever gave his own daughter. Hardly never saw the like of it again. They say he went a bit funny after that.
In what way?
It's only talk, ma'am. Just put about, that's all. They kept pretty much to the house after that. Business dropped off quite a bit. Billy didn't bother. They only came out when they had to. You can't blame them for wanting to stay, really. It's all they've known.
I thought you said you didn't know much.
Well?
Pneumonia. Dr. Stainton signed this certificate. No longer with us, I'm afraid. Complications arising from congenital cerebral palsy. The baby was born handicapped.
Did you know the baby was handicapped, Joseph?
No, ma'am, I didn't.
Did anyone? The people you spoke to?
I've not heard it mentioned.
A 22-month-old baby, a handicapped baby, dies suddenly from pneumonia. An only child. The parents are apparently so grief-stricken they've virtually become recluses. No photos.
Ma'am?
There were no photographs in the house of the baby. Relatives, horses even, but none of the child.
Well, maybe they never took any.
In nearly 2 years. And the grave, it's completely neglected. Not because it became that way, it's always been like that. You can tell they've never visited it. Now, don't you find that odd, Joseph?
It's why, though, isn't it? That's what you've got to be asking yourself.
They need to redevelop the area, Mrs. Stamp. That's all the why they need.
Talk to them, did you?
Mrs. Stamp, don't you trust me?
Oh, you're getting there. No point in rushing things.
Look, I didn't have to see them at all. It's the duty of the police to enforce the law, not delay its operation. The council were sympathetic, of course, but a court order doesn't give us much leeway. Mr. Nathan has unofficially promised you a couple of days' grace, but no more. And frankly, I think that was very reasonable of him, under the circumstances.
Oh, very reasonable of you to try, I suppose. Oh, we're not ungrateful, lass. I wouldn't like you to think that.
I have no real right to be here, Mrs. Stamp. I am in your house with your permission. What I'm trying to say is, I hope you never give me cause to enter your house officially, because if that happens, I shall have to, well, demand of you things that now I am only asking. Do you see my position?
You official folk are good at that, believing things without knowing much. That's how you get on, I expect.
What would you have me believe?
You'll choose for yourself, I dare say.
Mrs. Stamp, what are you hiding?
Never away with words. You put me in mind of a cousin of mine. I haven't seen him for years. Gone, probably. Terence. He could talk your ear silly, given the chance. Do you remember him, Dad? Fair hair, all to one side.
His father drowned in the bath.
Never.
Did?
His father would have been my uncle, you daft lump.
Why can't an uncle get himself drowned, then?
His father was the one with the handwriting.
Mrs. Stamp.
Anyone can drown. Don't take much.
Oh, he couldn't even swim. Not many swimmers in our family.
There's more shortbread.
Well, perhaps just a small piece. Ah. David, how do you spell ferret?
Mum?
Your report on the Saracen Street incident. How many F's would you say?
F's, Mum?
Ask Sergeant Beck to come in here, will you? And if he's having his tea, tell him to bring it with him.
Mum?
Sit down, Joseph. Joseph, have you read any of David's reports lately?
No, I can't say I have, ma'am.
I'm beginning to feel like an examination board.
He seems bright enough. He's got an O level in chemistry, so he says.
Which would presumably explain why he spells ferret with a PH.
Well, he's not from the country, ma'am.
Mr. Knowles spoke through the window of his car, but as it was closed, I do not know the meaning of what he said to me. Anyway, that's not what I want to talk to you about.
The stamps.
Mr. and Mrs. Stamp, yes. The molehill out of which you think I'm making a mountain.
I wouldn't say that, ma'am. You think there's something wrong.
I believe there's something not quite right. Let's put it that way. What if, instead of simply not wanting to leave the house, the situation is more that they can't leave?
Can't?
As in not able to, Sergeant. Problems arising out of so doing. I don't seem to be making myself very clear today.
Well, it seems a bit...
What?
Well, with respect, ma'am, a bit airy-fairy.
Does it now? And what about the proverbial copper's hunch, eh? Not allowed to put in an appearance above the rank of sergeant, is that it?
You could be right, ma'am.
Law of averages? Well, let's assume I am. What do we have?
Not much. Elderly couple, well-liked, childless, refused to move for reasons unknown.
Be suspicious, Joseph. You're good at that. Where's the weak link, eh?
It would have to be the baby.
Go on.
Caring folks, the Stamps.
Meaning?
They wouldn't have let the grave go, not like that.
They didn't exactly let it go, did they? They never visited it. As far as we know, the last time they were in that churchyard was the day of the funeral. So why, Joseph?
The memory of it all. They took it hard at the time. They'd want to forget it.
Every year, on the anniversary of her death, the local paper prints a memorial notice. For little Emily, never absent from our hearts and thoughts this day and always. They've never forgotten. So why, Joseph?
I don't know, ma'am. And if you don't mind me saying so, I don't think I want to know.
Thanks, Joseph. That'll be all.
I don't want to, Annie.
It's for the best, lad. Won't take long.
Yes. Yes, I did say that, but... All right, all right. Which hospital? Is it serious? Well, in that case, I really think it can wait until... Yes, I know. Thank you, George.
Am I serious?
They wouldn't have let me in if you were.
They draw the curtains round now and again.
They always do that.
I
The doctor says your heart fluttered a bit, that's all. Made you lose consciousness.
came over all dizzy.
You should rest more.
I do naught else.
You'll be back home in a couple of days, you'll see.
Where's Annie?
She sent her love.
She won't come out then.
No. Mr. Stamp, why don't you want to leave? Can't you tell me?
I like you, lass. You care.
How is he?
He's well. There's nothing to worry about. There's not even any real treatment. He's just a rest.
Oh, thank God for that. Oh, it was good of you to come.
How did it happen?
Oh, he never was any good at the digging much.
Digging?
The garden. Out at back. In a state it was.
Your husband was admitted to hospital at 1:30 this morning.
We've done something. Long time back. Billy and me.
How old was she?
"22 months, almost to the day. No little peaky face. She'd smile, though. Not that she had much reason to do that, but she'd manage, here and there.
Tell me it all. It's easier in one go.
Law comes first with you, though, don't it? Has to.
I'm not a uniform all the way through, you know.
Maybe not. All right, then. We had to keep her close. Not out there in ground she never knew. She's warm here.
But the funeral.
Earth. Just earth. Outside the casket and in. No problem, you see. Billy doing it all.
And she's been here all these years.
Where she belongs. Oh, we couldn't leave her, could we? All by herself. covered with all this old concrete people going and coming, walking on her.
Is this where your husband was digging?
Oh, I'm no up with my back. And Billy was a lot younger when he put her there. I shouldn't have let him, I know. But we wanted to take her with us. Our only chance.
Does anyone else know?
Only you. That's all.
Nobody's ever been down here?
This is a private place, lass.
Mrs. Stamp, I know your daughter was very ill.
She was. Slow like. You could see it happening a little bit each day. Billy said she weren't meant to be born, Mum. All that fighting. Life's hard enough as it is. Sometimes you know every word someone says, just as if they were your own. They sort of say it for you. He said, if she were a horse, I'd know what to do.
I know what it must have been like, watching her, waiting. Annie, did you kill your baby?
Come on, Inspector, you know the matter's out of our hands. The council have met all legal obligations regarding the residents of Saracen Street. I can't stick my neck out again.
It is important.
To take precedence over the rehousing of 40-odd families in new flats, it would have to be. Look, the only thing I can suggest is you get in touch with the contractors.
What are the chances there, do you think?
None at all, I should say, but what have you got to lose? Sorry I can't be more helpful, Inspector. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bread and butter pudding with currants.
Nice.
They pull the curtains round sometimes.
Country pattern.
Not much room in here when they do. Everyone crowds about. Who's at home, then?
She had to know. I told her.
Had to?
Oh, near her.
She'll have written it down. You promised.
You were right after all then, ma'am.
Was I now?
Sign of a good copper, they say. Hunches.
Really?
You're quite happy then with it all?
Never felt better.
I mean about the baby.
You read the death certificate, Joseph?
Yes, and believed it.
So?
So I didn't have a hunch, did I?
Joseph, if I asked you the name of the man who always lets you know each time we get a load of cheap tellies for sale on our packs, what would you say?
I plead ignorant, ma'am.
And I'd accept that, wouldn't I? Your trouble is you just can't bear me knowing something you don't.
No, I wouldn't say that.
No, you wouldn't.
So that's it then?
Couldn't have put it better myself, Joseph.
I expect they'll be glad to be moving now, the Stamps.
Haven't gone yet.
They will, though, won't they?
That's what we're going to find out, Joseph. If I can handle our man right, we'll get the time we need. My name's Darbley. Inspector Darbley, Hartley Police.
Good heavens, you're just the people I wanted to see. Charles? Charles, there's an Inspector Darbley to see you and a Sergeant,
Beck.
Of course it is.
Can't stop, I'm afraid. Breaks the rhythm.
Would you like us to call it another time, Mr. Pendle?
Well, supposing I said yes. A little joke, Inspector. You're not serious.
Well, it really isn't anything official, Mr. Pendle.
Can I start by offering you a drink, perhaps? Sherry? We have some beer somewhere, I think.
Thank you, no.
I thought so. There you are. Well, I'll leave you to it, then. We can meet up later and have a little chat. Oh, uniforms are so smart these days. Don't overdo it, Charles. Remember your operation.
It was 7 years ago. For blocked sinuses. Oh. I'm not fit enough to keep fit. Always been the trouble. Well, now, how can I help the great British police?
Mr. Pendle, you are the contractor on the new development at the Saracen Street side.
My company is.
I need a favour from you.
Now, don't tell me. One of the new flats. You have a friend of a friend.
No, Mr. Pendle, I do not have a friend.
Occupational hazard, no doubt.
You intend commencing demolition this weekend, I understand.
That is our plan.
I want to ask you to delay it a week.
For what reason, may I ask?
I'm afraid I can't say.
Oh, you can't say?
No.
Do you realise how long I've already been delayed, Inspector?
Yes, I do.
And that, as the saying goes, time is money?
I had heard.
Well, it's true. You take my word.
So it's no, then?
I'm afraid it is. Most definitely.
I didn't suggest tea, did I? Is that in order? There's nothing wrong, is there?
No, nothing wrong, Mrs. Pendle. Just a request, really.
Oh, good. Well, now you're here, you might say, well, have a look at our burglar alarm. Well, it wouldn't be too much trouble, would it? Only you people are always going on about prevention, aren't you?
Sergeant Beck will help you. If you'll excuse me, Mrs. Pendle. Mr. Pendle.
I see they leave plenty of hem on those skirts. Goodbye, Inspector.
Goodbye.
Now then, Sergeant, do you see these little sensors?
Sophie, the alarm works perfectly well. It should, for the amount it cost.
I was only asking for a professional opinion, Charles. The sergeant will know what I mean.
Your husband's quite right, Mum. It's a perfectly sound system. There aren't many who get past that.
But presumably it only takes one.
Oh, don't let that worry you. That sort only bother with the big houses.
Yes, well, thank you, Sergeant.
I'll leave your husband with a few tips, Ma'am. Inside information, like.
Oh, that is kind. Well, I'll leave you to it, then. I'm sure you must have lots of things to do. Now, Charles, don't be grumpy.
Nice lady, your wife.
Sorry?
Dependable type, I'd say. Expects much the same, I wouldn't be surprised. Is that your car outside, sir?
It is.
Nice job. Plenty of room.
Sergeant, is there anything you actually want?
Well, I'd like to ask a favour too, sir. The same one as my inspector, as it turns out.
Absolutely not. I thought I made myself perfectly clear to the inspector.
Yes, you did, sir. This yours, sir?
No.
On the drive it was. Near your car. Back seat, actually. Your wife's, must be. Looks a bit valuable to me. Better check, I think.
No. No, that won't be necessary. As I know for a fact that that does not belong to my wife. I've never seen it before.
Lost, then? Lost property. It happens all the time.
I dare say.
Right. Well, there's not much point bothering your wife, if you're sure. One earring. Would you mind signing there, sir?
A week, she said.
Well, she was skimping it a bit.
What?
Erring on the side of caution. 2 weeks would make it comfortable. Thank you, sir.
So how did you manage that?
Reasonable bloke, I thought. That's how you handle him.
Oh, what did he say?
Rest in peace, he said. Best that way, he thought.
Well, quite appropriate, really.
That's what I thought.
Next on Drama, we catch up with London's finest police. The good folk of Sun Hill are on the beat. In the bill.
Iris! Iris! Stop it! Do you hear, Iris? Iris, for God's sake! Iris! Iris, do you hear? Iris!
Stop taking the name of the Lord in vain, Harry.
It's nearly midnight.
The Creator never sleeps.
Because you keep him awake, Iris.
Suffer little children, Harry.
I haven't got any kids.
Including animals. Come unto me, said the Lord of hosts. Come and join me.
I'm going to report you.
To the Lord?
To the police.
There's only one law for heaven and earth. Come to church on Sunday.
I'm warning you, Iris. I'm going to report you. Dear, do you understand?
I'm already in contact with the Lord. Thank you, Harry.
Go to hell.
Impossible!
Looks like new batteries, Sarge.
Buy yourself a reading lamp.
What are you suggesting, Sarge?
That you take it home and read under the sheets.
Unkind and unfounded, that.
Harley Police? Yes. Yes, Mr. Chapman. Yes. We'll send someone round. Danny, hop round to 22 Raglan Street. You've got a little domestic.
Oh.
A hymn singer.
Different?
I'll ask Brian to meet you there.
Right, Sarge.
On the way. Out.
Blackford! Blackford!
Oi! Oi! Come on, lads. Get along home. And quietly.
Yes, sir. 3 bags full, sir.
That's enough. Off you go.
Mrs. Daniel, this is the police.
Praise the Lord.
May I come in, please, Mrs. Daniel?
Gates are always open to sinners.
Oh, that'll be my colleague, Mr. Chapman.
Ah, a choir.
Perhaps you could let him in, please, sir.
Bass or tenor?
Neither, Mrs. Daniel. We've had a complaint.
Harry's an old scoundrel.
It's very late.
It's never too late to repent your sins, my boy.
Nevertheless, it seems you're disturbing people.
Praising the Lord, that's all.
With your singing, I mean.
To God in the highest, yes.
Yeah, but the trouble is there's quite a few people between you and the Lord at the moment.
There's none so blind as those who cannot see.
It's a question of hearing, not seeing.
Precisely.
Oh, Brian. P.C. Keller, Mrs. Daniel.
Tenor or bass?
Neither, Mrs. Daniel, so if you could just relax and go to bed, eh?
Why?
It's night time, Mrs. Daniel.
In the darkness there shall be light.
See what I mean?
All right, Mr. Chapman. Would you wait downstairs, please?
Not before you put a gag in her mouth.
I forgive you for that, Harry. He knows not what he's saying, you know what I mean?
She won't listen to you.
Mr. Chapman, please.
Gag her and tie her up. When Iris hits Topsy, there's nothing can stop her. Nothing.
Tea?
Please, Mrs. Daniel.
Onward, Christian soul.
Well, maybe it'll calm her down.
Evening, George.
Good evening, what? What a nice surprise. Can't sleep?
Just picking a few things up from the office. We're due for an inspection.
I see, Mum.
Dedication, George.
I think you're being followed, Mum.
Oh, worried for my safety, are we?
No, your eyesight. All that reading late at night.
Nice of you to care.
Can't be too careful with CID, Mum.
Oi, you lot. Get away from here. Go on now.
If you'll excuse me, Mrs. Daniel.
But you haven't finished your tea.
I'll be back. You finish your tea, Danny, yes?
Yeah.
I studied a trade as a hairdresser. I had my own parlor in Jamaica, you know.
Oh, I've never been to Jamaica.
It's a very ungodly island.
Well, so what brought you to Harley?
The Lord.
Get out!
7742 Hartley. Assistance required. Punch up in Raglan Street, Sarge.
But I want you to sing with me. Oh.
Anyway, inspections are no problem.
I didn't tell you that.
Then why call in for that paperwork?
I suppose
Oh, I don't know.
Tell me.
Wanted to break a kind of mood, I suppose.
Obviously.
He come in. All right. I called him because I suddenly felt like a teenager again. Does that sound silly?
Was such a bad thing? Feeling young again?
Come on. That agony.
Might just be a lack of trust, of course.
Rubbish. I was beginning to feel a touch irresponsible, that's all.
You needn't have gone to such lengths.
Story of my life. When in doubt, resort to institutions.
Now, what's that supposed to mean?
Maybe I should get out and away from uniforms for good. Oh, I don't know.
You're going for promotion.
So you keep saying.
Because I mean it.
More coffee.
I don't suppose I'm going to sleep much tonight.
It's decaffeinated.
Oh.
God, can't you understand anything? I have not been to a football match. I haven't been to a football match for years.
Go with the constable, sir, please.
I am going home now.
Oh, no, you're not. In there, sir,
What do you think you're doing? What, eh?
Go on, sir.
Look,
You
what?
assaulted
What?
a constable, sir.
What?
In the police car.
Then bring him back here and let him say that to my face.
Has been called away to an accident.
Then you have no reason to hold me here.
Oh, yes, we have, sir. Come
This
on.
is totally ridiculous.
Thank you for a lovely evening.
Thank you.
It is nice.
What is?
Relaxing. You know what I mean.
No. Not dwelling on the past, are we?
Can't really trust it, can you?
Suppose I better go.
No.
I think so.
Oh, I've upset you.
Don't be daft.
I suppose I was just trying to place myself.
And you're somewhere between then and now,
In a way, yeah.
which is why I should go.
My big mouth.
No. I understand, Kate. And I know caution when I see it.
Another time.
No doubt. Oh, well. Don't see me out. Later in the week?
Right. One ballpoint pen, one book of matches. Sign there.
No. The 1 minute I'm in bed listening to songs of praise. The next I'm in the middle of a football crowd remonstrating with a gang of hooligans. Then I'm in this car with flashing lights. And then I'm in here. I get up early. I need my sleep. Now, will somebody please tell me why I've been arrested? Well?
If I was to say he doesn't look as though he's been to a football match...
You'd have a point, Sarge.
Then how did he get here?
The lads from traffic turned up. There was a bit of confusion and Bright got yanked into the car.
Right. Let a guess. Where do you think he's come from? Ewood Park or Bed?
Bed, Sarge, but he had a go at one of the traffic lads on the way in.
Well, I want to hear it from him.
He's been called away, hasn't he?
A fat lot of use that is.
Bright assaulted a policeman in the execution of his duty.
After he'd maybe been unlawfully arrested in the first place.
Oh, come on, Sarge.
Well, I'm not prepared to charge him on what we've got. We'll bail him for further inquiries.
Yes, Sarge.
You do realise we've got a potential complaint here? Huh? Fancy trusting those prima donnas in traffic. Mr. Bright, I'm going to bail you on a delayed charge, pending further inquiries.
And what does that mean?
That means I want you to report to this station in 3 days, and then a decision will be made whether to charge you or not.
But I haven't done anything.
We'll run you home.
There's no way I'm getting into another police car. I'm walking.
think, Joe?
Bit untidy, ma'am.
Seems Mr. Bright lost his temper in the car. You talked to traffic yet?
That's their report. Of course, the burglary's not going to help us.
No, it's not. Particularly as it took place while he was our guest.
Prince of Glory da. For how many pieces of silver was our Lord betrayed?
30, I believe.
It's 29 to go.
Pardon?
I found it in the street. It belongs to this ungodly place.
Could be, Mrs.
Daniel, I've come to change your life.
That's taking on a lot, Mrs. Daniel.
What was done in the lion's den can be done here. I'll start in there.
There are no lines in there, Mrs. Daniel.
No, there's no one here.
Come along, love.
Enemies of the Lord are causing difficulties everywhere.
Mrs. Daniel.
You realize what a wonderful thing it is to be free from sin?
You're in the wrong place for that, love.
Hello? Hello? Who's speaking, please?
Come along, Mrs. Daniel. There's no one there.
I'm here, my brother.
Come
By
on,
your
love,
side.
put him down. Come on, come through to my office.
Anywhere I can preach the message. I'm so happy, and I'm telling you the truth. My soul is well with me. Praise the Lord.
But you seem to be upsetting Harry Chapman a great deal.
Good old Harry.
You do understand how very annoyed he is.
All you can do is go.
Mrs. Daniel?
Man will be man and God will be God.
I don't think I follow.
If man's right, man will stand. If man's wrong, man will drop as man.
How about a cup of tea?
Lovely! I'll have two.
Excuse me, ma'am. Mr. Bright's here.
Oh, thank you, Joe. Oh, Joe, would you mind a cup of tea? Mrs. Daniel, the sergeant will arrange tea in another room.
It makes no difference to me. 2 cups of tea, please. A little more oil in my lamp.
I'll see Mr. Bright.
A little more oil in my lamp, I pray.
Can't you stop singing for 5 seconds?
Is what you ranting about, though?
Don't you realise that people want to sleep at night?
What about you, then, fighting in the street, and you being a preacher?
A preacher, sir? Aye. Every Sunday and Thursday evening. This way, please.
Hello, who's out here? Have you seen the word?
Come on,
Calling
I'll
all
tell you.
cards!
What do you
I'm
think
not
you're
more
playing
oil in my lamp! Keep it burning!
Just
A
calm
little
down,
more
will you?
You traveling at 20 miles an hour, you can't see. A little more oil in my lamp. I pray. A little more oil in my lamp. Keep it burning.
I've taken your complaint, Mr. Bright. It'll be forwarded to headquarters and an officer will be appointed to look into the matter.
You realise I'm being calm and as charitable as possible?
I appreciate that.
I don't think I'm not aware of what's happening.
Mr. Bright?
You lot closing ranks, the great mutual benefit society, looking after your own.
Your complaint will be thoroughly investigated, Mr. Bright.
Blunt assurances, not good enough.
It's a set and proper procedure.
Well, we'll see what my solicitor has to say, shall we?
And I expect we shall be hearing from you again.
Oh, yes. Yes.
And then there's me ulcer, you see.
Yes,
And if I don't get me sleep, me ulcer plays up.
like being in the wilderness.
No? No, Iris. Sharp pains in the stomach.
Prayer heals, Harry.
Not ulcers, Iris.
No?
No. So, I'm begging you, please, don't sing so much.
A little bit?
Not at all.
Well,
Promise?
I promise, Harry.
Ah, God.
How's your ulcer now?
Bad. And I need some sleep.
I'd sing you to sleep.
Don't you understand?
Another burglary, I see.
Yep, same pattern. Telly, video.
Has to be someone local.
Certainly looks that way.
We'll have to start knocking on some doors.
About last night's burglary, I need a bit of advice. The householder of Colin Bright was arrested and brought in by the lads. He's a lay preacher. Could be sticky.
You better tell me about it then.
He assaulted Derek Brown in the car on the way in.
Not the likeliest of tales, is it? A lay preacher?
He's already bringing a complaint of unlawful arrest. And not only that, his house was burgled while he was here.
Was it an unlawful arrest?
I think Derek made the kind of judgment any one of us could have made.
Not worried about our image, are you, Kate?
Stormtroopers at it again. Can't you just see it?
So where did it go wrong? Bit of a confused situation, was it?
A punch-up.
So if Bright was unlawfully arrested, he's in the clear over the assault in the car.
He was bailed under Section 47. I think we'll have to drop it.
You spoken to the super?
Yes?
He told you to wait and see.
Yes.
You're in all kinds of limbos these days, aren't you?
I asked for advice.
Do what the super says. Wait.
Derek Brown's got a black eye.
Tough.
Every time I feel the spirit moving in my soul, I will pray. Every time I feel the spirit, if it's joining in the prayers you want, Harry, please say it to me, to the Lord of hosts who rules heaven and earth. Oh, Jesus!
Shut up, Iris!
Put your hands together, hurry.
Hartley Police. Is that you, Mr. Chapman? Are you all right? No, you sound as if you're choking. Yes, yes, go on, I'll listen. Mr. Chapman? Yes, yes, I can hear the lady. Look, I'll come round. No, Mr. Chapman, no. Wait till I get there.
And then there I was, in this car. You explained the circumstances to the officer, Mr. Bright?
Oh, over and over.
And he took no notice of you?
No, none whatsoever. Nor at the police station, neither. I'm due to report back there in 3 days' time. And I want something done about this, Mr. Gregson. They're closing ranks on me. They deserve to be punished for this.
Iris!
Just
for God's sake, are you deaf?
Just try and relax, will you?
Iris!
Stop that syncopation, Harry.
That's enough, Mr. Chapman! That's enough! I'll kill her one day! And I never thought I'd say anything like that at my age. Do you understand?
If you want to sing, just say fight the good fight.
No, Mr. Chapman!
So my client is bringing a complaint of unlawful arrest, Inspector. And I must say, seems to have every cause. I understand it's alleged he assaulted a police officer.
That's the offence alleged, yes.
Suggesting a certain doubt, perhaps.
Come on, Mr. Gregson.
Anyway, I just wanted to check a few facts. He was brought into the station at 12:30 last night.
Discuss that with your client. His complaint has been recorded and I've put a report into headquarters.
Of course, you know that Mr. Bright's home was broken into while he was here.
Yes.
That was a direct result of my client leaving his home to help the police.
Now, I can't really comment on that, can I?
No doubt there'll be a time and place where you'll have to.
Anticipating a little, aren't you, Mr. Gregson?
And to get the record straight, my client will go ahead with his complaint even if you withdraw the assault charge.
Noted.
Didn't want to raise any hopes.
I never imagined you were trying to, Mr. Gregson.
Well then, thank you for your time, Inspector.
We're here to help.
I do understand your wish to support the arresting officer. It's only natural. Good morning, Inspector. Thank you. Morning, Sergeant.
Morning, sir.
It's a lively atmosphere here this morning.
The police surgeon's on his way, ma'am. She says she hasn't got a doctor of her own.
How is she?
Taking breath, I think.
Bright's going ahead with his complaint.
Ah.
I have a feeling he's going to take it all away. Has Mr. Perrin spoken to you about the house-to-house?
Yes, I've left him out with a couple of men, ma'am.
Good. Oh, that was quick. Morning, Doctor.
You got me on my way to a call. Where is she?
In there.
Right, you coming in?
Please.
Morning, Joe.
Morning, sir. Morning. What do you want, Mr. Chapman?
Have you put her away yet? I'm feeling a bit guilty.
Why? What have you done?
Nothing. Well, maybe I have been a bit unkind to Iris.
Well, you can't have it both ways, can you? Half throttling her 1 minute and forgiving her the next.
I think it must be lack of sleep. I only want to do what's best for her.
She's being seen to. Now, why don't you go home and get your head down?
I've got shopping to do.
After you've done your shopping, then?
Then Iris will be back to plague me.
I doubt it.
Don't be unkind to her. Promise.
Go away, Mr. Chapman.
You see, listening to Iris, well, It's like listening to your own funeral 10 times a day, and I'm not young anymore.
Go and get some sleep, eh?
And I'm having bad dreams. The Red Sea closed in on me last night.
Good. Is your appetite normal, Mrs. Daniel?
Yes, why am I here?
The inspector can tell you that.
You seem to be upsetting Mr. Chapman.
Harry? Never.
Do you sometimes feel sad?
Sometimes.
Very sad?
Never. And I'm telling you the truth. My soul is well with me. Praise to the Lord.
Do you sometimes feel you have special powers?
A good voice, that's all.
Do you sometimes feel you have a special mission in life?
No. I don't want from God.
Never?
Whatever the Lord God decides, whatever is going to pass, I don't ask to be called by God.
Do you sometimes see things, Mrs. Daniel?
Man's inhumanity to man, that's all.
No, I mean actually see things.
You mean the burning light and the thunder roar?
That sort of thing, yes.
Never. I've been redeemed.
Do you sometimes feel somebody's giving you instructions?
Only Harry. Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
No, I mean in your head.
My mind is crystal clear of all rubbish.
I see.
See? See what?
And you're not being treated by any doctor?
I'm healthy in body and mind. Is that what you see?
When you sing, is it always at home?
And in church. And in the shops when I see fruits. And I thank the Lord I'm not in Jamaica no longer. You go to church.
Yes.
Sing hymns.
Yes.
You sing in the bath.
Sometimes.
I never sing in the bath. I sing because I'm happy. And the police come and take me away.
Yes. All right, Mrs. Daniel.
Good day, sir. We're making some inquiries about burglaries in this area.
Oh, aye.
Would you have any objection if I asked you a few questions?
No, not at all.
So she was brought here. Quite rightly, I think. A place of safety is defined in the Mental Health Act.
Well, that's all very well, Inspector.
She needs help. That's obvious.
Well?
Alison? I know Iris of old, ever since she was divorced. I've told you what's been happening over the past 24 hours. It's nothing new. Well, you've seen how she is, Dr. Benson.
No sign of delusions. She denies hallucinating. Her cognitive functions seem normal.
She sings hymns all the time.
Well, a possible indication of hypomania, yes.
You haven't seen her in all her glory.
Since when is singing a crime, Kate?
Look, one Harry Chapman.
Harry?
Yes, threatens to kill her.
Oh, look, Inspector. Iris is well orientated in time and space. When I saw her, she wasn't elated or depressed. She just has an exuberant personality.
Exuberant? She's driving Harry Chapman round the twist.
I can't sign the order committing her to hospital.
Alison?
Sorry, Kate. Besides, the hospital would take one look at her and refuse admission.
Why?
They'd come to the same conclusion as Dr. Benson.
I'm sorry, the hospital just won't want to know.
Well, somebody's got to help.
Then he left me and took my children. I can live with you, he said, but not with you and the Lord. The Lord never cost us anything. You're married?
Thanks, Joe.
Why am I still here?
For your own safety, Iris.
I'm safe with the Lord.
What about Harry Chapman?
He's full of Christian feelings.
Look, Iris, don't you think you sometimes test his charity a bit?
How?
Singing hymns at awkward times.
The Lord is never on overtime.
I wasn't suggesting that, Iris. But Harry needs his sleep.
Harry never understood eternity.
Look, I understand why you want to sing.
Will you join me? A little more oil in my...
Iris. If you want to sing, what about during the daytime when Harry's out shopping or something?
You sound like my husband.
Well, maybe he had a point, Iris.
He left me, and he made all those vows to the Lord when we were married. And the day I left, he went down the street, shouted at the sky,
Iris.
and I shouted at him. You're tempting the Lord to hurl a thunderbolt at you, Dennis. He never looked back. He never looked back. You're going to send me to hospital?
No.
Glory be then. I knew the Lord wouldn't desert me. I'm not going to
are you going, Mrs. Daniels?
To see if Harry is all right. He's got an ulcer. I'm not going to hospital.
The Lord doesn't want to know tonight, Iris.
Yes, my son lives with me.
Where does he work, Mrs. Tompkins?
Why are you here?
We're looking into a matter and we're going round asking everybody in the street a few questions.
What questions?
Does your son go out much?
No, he's always watching the telly. He's got them everywhere, you know.
How many?
Oh, lots. Bargains.
Danny? So he doesn't go out much then, Mrs. Tompkins?
Oh, for his walks. My television's in here. He's got one in his bedroom, and there's one in the bathroom.
In the bathroom, Mrs. Tompkins?
He spends hours in the bathroom, reading, I think. He's bought some new magazines. He won't show them to me.
I've never seen a telly in a bathroom.
Oh, he unplugs it when he has a bath. It's a steam, you know.
Yeah, very wise.
Could we see it?
Yes. I'll show you his stuffed birds, if you like. In ever such nice cases.
Does he keep them in the bathroom?
No, in my bedroom, with the electric drills.
The lads say the place is a real Aladdin's cave, Mom. His mum thinks he's in the bargain business. It's the idea there, and Brian and Danny are giving him a hand. Right, the police. Yes, sir? Yes. Yeah, we'll send someone round. Oh, Iris, Mum. Just singing in the supermarket now.
Call Brian and Danny. Tell them to get over there. CID can manage.
Excuse
I'll be with you in a moment.
Steal away to Jesus. Hallelujah now. Steal away home. Ah, my police choir.
Hello, Iris.
Sing with me.
Let's go outside, love.
Yes, I better echo in here.
Outside is better, Iris.
Why are you whispering? Aren't you joyful? we sing here.
Look, why don't you
Steal
come
away.
outside and teach us the words?
The words are easy. Listen. Steal away. I say, steal away. I say, steal away to Jesus. I say, steal away. Catch your soul now. Steal away. Bread of life now. Steal away to Jesus. Stop it, please. Can't you see? I'm feeding the multitude. Don't you care about the starving millions? I'm cancelling you from the choir. You have no heart.
Come on,
Let's
come on.
Follow me. I'll steal away to Jesus. Everybody come steal away. Everybody know steal away. Steal away. A little more oil in my lamp, keep it burning. Oh boy. I sing and the police come and take me away. Is that justice?
If you go in there, madam.
Madam? Is who you talking to?
Please, Danny.
Come on, Iris.
This boy has all the makings of a sinner.
That's what I keep telling him.
Iris.
Ask properly.
Please, Iris.
Yes, for you I'll go anywhere.
Mary, interview room, please. Well, it's what they call an interesting afternoon you're having.
She's lovely.
Boss won't think so. No, I mean the interesting little house, Tompkins.
Oh, right, you know, there was even a telly in the bathroom.
Where's Iris?
Back in our lap, Mom.
Tell me, Brian.
Well, nothing really, Mum. More of a nuisance than anything else. People were standing, staring, giggling, you know, but there was a bit of confusion. The manager was very understanding.
Charge her.
Come again, Mom?
Charge Iris. If no one else is going to take any notice of me, the courts will have to charge her.
What with?
criminal damage, conduct likely, whatever's appropriate.
Does the boss want a second complaint of unlawful arrest on her hands? Been a bit heavy-handed, didn't she, Sarge?
Well, Iris, I'm afraid we're going to charge you.
Charge me? What do you mean, charge me?
With conduct likely to cause a breach of the peace.
What peace? You've never been in a supermarket. There was no peace.
Nevertheless, Iris, you were in that shop and you were singing.
Bringing peace, not breaching it. I'm not resentful.
About what?
About you not understanding. Did you know the Lord is my shepherd? He is my shepherd.
I know, Iris.
You're going to charge the Lord?
No.
Well, if you charge me, you charge him. Go ahead if you want thunderbolts in this room. All I have is my singing and my praising.
I know, Iris.
Harry won't hurt me. He's not my husband.
Your husband hurt you?
Yes, a lot. It's a comfort to sing. Come, join me in some praising.
No.
A little more oil in my
Iris.
life. I've got so much to give.
I know.
I know where to give it.
Who's a clever boy, then? Who's got a big head, then?
Look, part of observation, Sarge.
Thanks to a very chatty lady, you mean?
The way it goes, Sarge, the way it goes. Nice birds, aren't they?
All right, Brian, go and charge her.
Are you sure, Mum?
Yes.
Inspector Longton.
What is it?
You recognise the name and address, Mum?
Well, well, Mr. Bright.
Yep. All the magazines and videos were found together.
You're real hard porn. Mr. Bright will have to come in and identify these as being his, won't he?
Naturally, Mum.
Such a respectable man, Danny.
Magistrate's clerk, Mum.
Ah,
Mr. Patton.
Thank you.
hello. Thanks
Hello.
for popping in.
Nice.
See?
Thank you. She's up tomorrow. One of those cases you want to talk about, is it?
Unless something is done, Mrs. Daniel is going to be back on my doorstep for the foreseeable future. She's making an awful nuisance of herself.
The medical profession won't help?
They don't see it my way.
I don't really approve of the court being used like this, you know.
But you take my point.
Hmm.
If the case is adjourned for social and psychiatric reports, Mrs. Daniel will still go on singing in supermarkets.
Well, I know the problem. We've had them before.
Can't you help?
The magistrates will be sympathetic, no doubt.
This lady needs attention now.
Is a court order the only way out?
In my opinion, yes. Look, I don't want to bring this prosecution. You know that.
I'll have a word.
Thanks.
Cruel to be kind and all that. Sad.
Do your best for her, won't you?
We do take on awful responsibility sometimes, you know.
Somebody has to.
Bye, Mr. Patton. Cheerio. Mr. Bright. Just a moment. Mr. Bright's here, Mum.
I got a message about some stolen property.
Ah, Mr. Bright. Come through, will you? We just wanted to check whether any of this belonged to you.
No, I don't think so.
Look carefully, please. This envelope, for instance, has your name and address on it. It has this magazine in it.
Oh. How odd.
In the same box as these other magazines, photographs, and this envelope with your name and address from a video company.
And where were they found?
We'll come to that later, Mr. Bright.
They are yours, Mr. Bright, aren't they? You've come here to identify your possessions.
It won't come out in court, will it?
What, when the thief comes to trial? Who knows?
If they are mine, can I take them with me?
Not yet.
And that television set and that video recorder. And that, I think, is all. Thank you, Inspector. You still want me to report tomorrow morning?
Yes.
You're very persistent, aren't you?
We'll tell you then whether we're going ahead with the charge.
I'm not withdrawing my complaint.
I didn't suggest you were, Mr. Bright.
Well, just so as you know.
Morning, ma'am.
I was caught.
Iris was given bail on condition she undergoes medical examination.
She agreed?
Yes, she's been admitted to hospital.
Well, at least somebody will have to take some notice of her now. I had an aunt who was in mental hospital for years.
She won't be locked away, Joe. Things have changed.
Well, it's a responsibility, Mum. My aunt didn't recognise me at all in the end. Mr. Bright's waiting to see you, and...
Morning, Mr. Bright. Come through.
Well, I'm here, as promised.
As instructed, surely.
It's all very unfortunate.
What, precisely?
Well, the little matter of my arrest. May I talk about that?
Well, you don't expect a discussion?
Oh, no, no. A little conjecture might be a more accurate way of putting it.
Well?
Well, the nub of all this, of course, is what you might call justice.
Get to the point, Mr. Bright.
Yes, yes. I'm a caring sort of person, and we both have our responsibilities to carry.
But yours are owed to a much higher authority than mine.
Which has its compensations, Inspector. The good Lord teaches us compassion.
Come off it, Mr. Bright.
Or, better still, shall we say, a little give and take?
No bargains.
No. Nothing so crude.
Well, go on.
Well, you promise me that those books and tapes will not become public knowledge, and I'll withdraw my complaint against you.
Not in my gift, Mr. Bright.
Your whole life must be based on compromise, surely.
Possibly, but never on such little deals. Never on a kind of blackmail. Never when it's wrapped up with such insincerity and informed by such self-interest. I shall ignore what you've just said to me. You were asked to report here as a condition of your bail. Well, I now have to tell you that no action will be taken by us regarding the assault by you on one of our officers. There's your notification in writing.
Oh. Well, in that case, I shall be charitable and withdraw my complaint.
That's entirely up to you, Mr. Bright.
In the hope that it will be of some help to you.
Hope and charity in one breath, Mr. Bright. Must be all that reading you're doing.
Some kind, Inspector.
Merely conjecture, Mr. Bright.
I am withdrawing my complaint.
Hello, Iris.
Hello, Harry.
Flowers.
Thank you.
I've come to see you.
They've given me some of your aspirins.
They're not aspirins, Iris. They're sleeping tablets. Mine, I mean.
Oh, well, they've given me little pink ones.
You can have some of mine when you come home.
Did I sing a lot, Harry?
Sometimes.
Well, the doctor says the little pink ones will help me singing.
Good.
He's wrong. I don't feel like singing.
That's even better, Iris.
Come and see the ward.
Aye. I'd like that. I'm sorry, Iris.
What for?
men in the ward that hear voices all the time telling them things. Come and meet them, Harry.
Next on Drama, we catch up with London's finest police. The good folk of Sunhill are on the beat. In the bill.
I who have nothing. To fancy clubs and restaurants. Nose pressed up against the window pane.
Heavy duty HGV batteries, a sort of manufacture, all new. Item 3 pneumatic jacks. Pneumatic. P. LMNOP. P.N. Detective Sergeant Melchett. Oh, hello, sir. What, from London? What do they want up here? State secret, is it? Yes, I'll do that. I'll ask them. When I'm expecting them, this afternoon? Right, better tell the boss, hadn't I? Do we have names for these two Wallies? Who? Winder. Right, Winder, yeah. For what? Oh, for Nell. Right, thanks, sir. Yes, if I find out, I'll let you know.
You're not trying to tell me Waterloo Estate's a radio dead spot all of a sudden, are you?
Set. Might not have been charged right.
Yeah. One day that'll happen and it'll be urgent.
Leave it out. I'll have it checked.
Hello, ma'am.
Sergeant,
Who won?
who do you expect?
You?
Well, don't sound so surprised about it.
Bayek. Nailed him.
What did he get?
240 hours community service.
Well, you've made my day. I was beginning to think that young hooligan would never get his card marked.
A real feather in your cap, ma'am.
Aye, very creditable.
You're very kind, but I can do without it, you know. Every time I get a result, you treat it like some minor miracle. If you've any congratulations left over, you might remember Roland here. I couldn't have done it without my star witness.
Well done, lad. Now, the inspector wouldn't say it if she didn't mean it.
Help shop.
Can't do anything right, can we?
How long before you admit she's got a point, Joe?
Can we help you, sir? I want to see someone.
Aye. Will I do, sir?
No. Mr. Greenwood, isn't it? What can we do for you, sir?
I want to see Gaffer.
Yes, well, you tell me what it's about and I'll decide that, sir, if you don't mind.
It's about yon foreigner up at Tarnhill House killing my sheep.
Strictly speaking, your sheep shouldn't have been on the road, should it, Mr. Greenwood?
Oh, where have you been, love? Can't have had one.
No, I do realise that, but you've no actual proof that it was Mr. Palin who ran over it.
There's only him and me uses that back road, and he drives it like it's a bloody racetrack. And that's for now, man. What's it going to be like when he's open, damn place? Cars at all hours, half of them too tanked to see straight, on them lanes.
There was an inquiry, Mr. Greenwood, to consider all these objections before any licence was granted.
I know. I were there. But a right fix do.
That's rather a wild allegation.
He'd greased off Palmsby then.
I think you ought to be a bit careful what you say, Mr. Greenwood.
Look, love. Should I tell you what he offered me to drop me objection?
None of this is strictly relevant to your dead sheep, Mr. Greenwood.
Except there's going to be more, isn't there? Bound to be.
No, not if you repair your walls or whatever and keep them where they're supposed to be.
Oh, well. Bloody obvious whose side you're on.
I am on no one's side. Now, whoever ran over that sheep hasn't reported it, which is an offence. I shall certainly be going to talk to Mr.
Talk?
It will be investigated, but as regards the future, you are his nearest neighbour, and like it or not, I think you're just going to have to make some effort to live together.
I hate him. I hate what he's doing. Bloody drinking and God knows what. My place used to be home farm to Tarnhill House once. I can remember when folk like him wouldn't get past gate, no. You tell him from me any more trouble and I shan't bother to come here again. I'll sort it myself.
Send him up after lunch. Right, boss.
Hello, Pete. How's tricks?
What's this? Lose your way off the North Circular, did you?
Bearer of bad news, I'm afraid. Martin's out.
So what went wrong? I mean, he got 15, didn't he? So tell me about it.
Took it on his toes, didn't he?
Escaped?
Yeah, went up for his appeal, jumped the screws.
Stroll on.
I had a bit of help with it, mind you.
He'll be looking for you, Pete.
Well, yes, he would, wouldn't he?
Take him a bit to find, Joe.
What are you going to do?
Well, we're here.
I can't drop out of sight again. I'm supposed to be opening this place in a fortnight.
Best talk to the locals. Get them sorted.
Bloody hell.
What we doing here, huh? I mean, what's it matter? He's a slag the same as Martin.
It's not Pete we're bothered about, is it? It's nicking Martin when he comes to do him. That's why we're here, Cole. I'll be.
Looks like they want you to back up.
Have to learn their manners then, won't they?
Squannies.
Here. See that bit of skirt? Could have sworn she had pips up.
Sheep? I never touched his sheep.
There aren't many cars use that lane, Mr. Palin.
You're here because of a sheep? One dead beast may not seem a lot to you, sir, but somebody like Mr. Greenwood, it's a big loss.
Are you saying that I killed it? Oh, bloody have him.
He's saying it could have been, and I'm asking if it was.
It'd have been him a deep freeze by now, wouldn't it?
They call that theft.
Oh, for pity's sake.
If it wasn't you, sir, have you any idea who it could have been?
Look, I've got electricians, carpet layers, blooming great furniture vans coming and going. How the hell am I supposed to know?
Yes, well, we'd like a list of all the vehicles that may have used the lane this morning so they can be checked. Also, I understand that you gave an undertaking to the inquiry, Mr. Palin, to restrict all vehicular access to the premises to the drive leading off the main road so that this back lane wouldn't be used.
Once we were opened, we're not yet. What we were talking about there were the punters' cars, that's all.
I think you might be well advised to make that all cars, including your own, as of now, Mr. Palin.
Well, that adds another 4 miles on.
I don't want Greenwood provoked into starting a range war.
Miserable git.
He's been here a lot longer than you have.
So what?
So, you'll abide by your undertaking, or I'll have this place closed so fast you won't know what's hit you.
Bloody knockcott.
We, passed in the lane. Wonder what Pete had been up to.
Murdering sheep.
What is this? Who are you?
Detective Inspector Winder, Detective Sergeant Thornell. Shall I inspect your card, Cole?
What's going on here?
You the governor?
Of this section, yes.
Oh, just about to make our number with you.
Save your breath. All she's interested in protecting is dumb sheep.
Just what is going on here?
I thought we were expecting governor.
Not by me.
Well, that's not our fault, is it? I mean, if your people don't tell you these things.
Oh, hello. I'm glad you're back.
Were you aware of the fact that we have 2 officers from the Met sitting on our patch?
Yes, Winder and somebody. I've got it written somewhere.
Then why the blazes didn't you tell me?
I've been trying to catch you.
Did it not occur to you to leave a message? I can read.
I didn't think it would make much sense.
At least it might have saved me from giving the impression that I didn't know what was going on in my own section.
I don't get it. Who's been having a go at you?
That's not the point, Sergeant, is it? But since you ask, they have. Our 2 visitors from London, who no doubt think that we're just clod-hopping country cousins without us going out of our way to prove them right.
Sorry, Mum.
The point is, Sergeant, you had a clear duty to make sure I received that information at the earliest possible moment, not just when it suited you, sometime never.
Point taken, Mum.
Yes, well, I hope it is. Right. Now, I think Mr. Logan ought to be in on this, don't you?
Well, if I knew what they were here for, I might be able to say.
I think you better ring your wife, David. Warn her you might be late home.
She's a bit of all right, isn't she? Huh? Your governor.
How do you mean?
A good looker. Wouldn't you say, Gov? Depends whether you like it in uniform. Never gone for it myself. How about you, Sergeant?
Never thought about it, sir.
Yeah, I can believe that.
I was on hobos with a woman inspector once. Very popular lady.
I think you'll find Inspector Darbley's pretty popular herself around these parts.
I couldn't do it, you know. Take orders from a skirt.
The only thing that counts is how well the job gets done. Inspector Darbley's as good as any male boss I've known.
Your trouble, you're just a sexist pig, Cole.
Sorry to have kept you.
Oh, that's all right. Sergeant Beck's been keeping us well amused. He's a real fan of yours.
Detective Sergeant Melchett, Detective Inspector Winder, Detective Sergeant Fornell. Do you think you could find us another chair, please, Sergeant?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, well, so we all know what we're talking about. I think you better fill Sergeant Melchett in up to date.
You got a fella living up here called Palin, Peter Palin.
Tarn Hill House Country Club, owner of.
The London bloke, right?
Ran a string of drinking clubs and restaurants. Thing is, he had a business partner called Martin Wright, and he's a real villain. Palin was the front man. The way they work it, Wright knocks over some security van, supermarket or something, and the money gets laundered through the business. Buys another restaurant, maybe.
It's not unknown.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Oh, Tarjo.
See you in the morning.
Yes, ma'am. Good night.
Oh, good night, Joe.
Anyway, I don't know why, but Palin decides he's not happy.
Oh, I reckon he just got greedy.
Yeah, well, whatever, he grasped him. Got Wright sent down for a 15 stretch. Then he sold up, pocketed all the money, his partner's as well as his own, and cleared off up here.
This is a fella who's just been granted a liquor licence.
Well, why not? He's clean, he's got no record.
Unsavoury associations at the very least.
So what's your interest now?
Martin Wright got himself sprung 3 days ago.
And you think he could be headed this way?
Well, I know the way he feels about Palin, I'd put money on it.
But no proof that he is?
No. Only if he is, and if he gets to him.
If he was prepared to stay put in one place, his house, then I might be able to offer him some level of protection.
That's just backstop stuff, though, isn't it?
Only real protection is to make sure Wright never gets that near him.
Well, I presume every police force in the country will be doing that. I mean, we are talking about an escaped criminal. Hopefully he'll never get this far.
Hopefully.
Still, got to assume he will, though, haven't we?
Yes, I realise that.
Look, a little back end of nowhere like this should be able to clock who comes in, no bother.
Just how many men do you think I've got?
Road checks, rail stops, bus station, how many does it take?
For how long?
Till he's nicked.
You don't actually know that he's headed this way.
He is. Just take it from us.
You've no proof.
Well, what do you think we're doing here? If I wasn't 100% certain, do you think my governor would let us swan all the way up here?
He could just as easily be making for his wives, his girlfriends, abroad even.
He's got no wife, his bird's being watched, just in case I'm wrong, but I'm not.
You give me something solid like proof that he's actually headed this way, and I will ask Division for reinforcements and give Palin blanket protection. But until then, he will have to make do with loose surveillance. I will send a car round his house and his club at regular intervals.
Who's your governor?
Detective Chief Inspector Logan, only he works out of division.
Right, you make us a meet with him, son. We're staying at a place called...
Bellin.
We'll be waiting to hear from you.
Detective Chief Inspector Logan is fully aware that it still comes back to a question of my manpower.
I'm sure he is, ma'am, but it just seems to me he ought to know what's going on. Night, both. You may reckon your pin-up girl's the best thing that's happened since Charlie's Angels, Sergeant. But I can tell you she wouldn't last 2 days where we come from. And if she doesn't get hold of what policing's all about, we're going to have this station jumping.
Today started so well. Go home, David. If your tea's spoilt, tell your wife to blame me.
Thank you, Mum.
Sergeant Martin. Hello, love. Still at it?
They call it dedication. I don't know what the answer is, except maybe getting a dictaphone in the car, dictating as I go along.
Oh, get some funny looks on the traffic cops. This room's a mess. In fact, it's the right tip.
Suppose it is.
What do you mean, you suppose it is?
When you get used to it, you start seeing it after a while.
Wants to be decorating for a start. I'll have to... What colour do you fancy? Then we might have some incentive to keep it tidy.
What's that?
It's this crazy life we lead. Both of us too knackered to do anything except fall into bed and sleep.
Look, it's not easy writing these things. I'm getting behind as it is. Can you just let me finish this one, then we can talk?
Anything to eat? Sorry.
I bought some chips in.
Suppose I better make myself something then. Except I can't be bothered. Fancy a drink?
Not a bad day.
Morning, Court.
Oh, well done.
We've got 2 Met coppers visiting. Oh, they really know how to rub you up the wrong way. Do you know, today I've been treated like the head girl of an all-boys school. Tolerated as a temporary aberration.
Oh, I'm sorry, love.
The trouble is, they might be right. And I was less than helpful, not only because of what they wanted, but also because I didn't like them.
Well, perversity isn't confined to women, is it?
Not many men would admit it. I'm not looking forward to tomorrow. Somehow retrieving the situation.
Right. Thanks. Hanging on there, are you? Yeah. Well, let us know one way or the other. I will do.
Anything I should know?
Bentley's just been on from the hospital. Palin's still alive. I reckon he'll likely stay that way as well.
Conscious.
And Mr. Logan's waiting for you in your office, Mum.
It's only just occurred to somebody to inform us. What kind of ship do you run, lady?
As tight as you'll find.
Got them well trained, have you, to cover for you? Give you time while you get your excuses sorted? Well, let's just get clear on one thing. If we miss Nick him right, it's down to you.
If you want your meet with Mr. Logan, you better follow me. If you ever have anything to say to me again, Inspector, you'll know your time and your place, or I'll have you off my patch for good and all. Detective Inspector Winder, sir, and Sergeant Fornell. They've only just heard.
Gentlemen. You'll not have been out to the scene, then?
No, sir.
Oh, well, it's best not to have too many feet tramping all over. I left scenes of crimes well at it.
At least we've not got murder, sir.
Yet.
Chances are we won't have either. The hospital's just been on.
He's lucky, then.
I take it he's not able to talk yet. Lucky, but not right helpful, then. I see that you reckon this escaped con Martin Wright for it.
Always sworn he'd get him.
We even had a whisper that's why he got himself sprung, didn't we, Gov?
Well, if it was him, he'll not be on our patch now, then.
Sergeant Tunstall there, please. Sergeant Beckett Hartley. Ta. Fred. Yeah, it must be all of that. Listen, Fred, you know this fella Martin Wright who's gone over the wall at the Scrubs? Well, we've got these two Met Wallers sitting on us up here, reckoning he's going to turn up here. It's a long story, Fred. The thing is, I've got a sneaking suspicion that this Wright fella might be on your patch, not ours. What do you reckon? Now, what I'm trying to say is, he could be. And I'd like these two Met Jacks to think he is. Do you follow me? That's the idea, Fred. Champion.
Engine was still warm. I reckon it must have happened not more than an hour before he was found.
Which was at 7:53. Any vehicle seen at or near the house between 6 a.m. and 7:45?
We can narrow that down a bit, sir. We've been keeping a regular eye on Tarnhill House as of last night. P.C. Clegg's previous visit was at 6:30 this morning. Nothing out of the ordinary.
A gun, then. Fired, yes?
At him or by him?
No obvious bullet wound that I could see.
Checking with the hospitals? Anything that we've missed? Yes, Inspector?
Sorry to interrupt, sir. Thought you ought to know. We've had word Wright may have been sighted.
Where?
Manchester, sir.
When?
Last night. He booked into a hotel this morning. They found he'd left without paying his bill.
Identified by photo, have they?
As far as I know.
I take it you've no objection if Sergeant Fornell and I drive over to Manchester, sir?
There's no reason to believe that he'd go back there?
We'd like to make sure, just the same, might turn something up.
Up to you.
You're to get in touch with Sergeant Tunstall. He's got all the details. He'll fill you in. You'll find him at headquarters. If you don't know the way, I'll give you directions.
What were you going to say, Jean?
I think we're in danger of getting blinkered by this Martin Wright fella. I think we should be very careful to keep an open mind. Because despite what these two gentlemen seem so sure of, I'm not at all convinced that this attack has anything to do with Wright.
Why?
It looks like Palin was beaten up, badly. But that's not the same thing at all as someone actually trying to kill him. And if it had been his ex-partner, I would have expected him to make a better job of it than that.
I'd go along with that.
So, you're favouring what?
We know Palin made enemies. There's a farmer, his nearest neighbour, who was good as threatened to do him over here in my office.
A feud, then? Something local?
Why not?
All right. An open mind, then. No blinkers. Let us explore every possibility there is. Only, Jean, let us not get blinkered the other way either. Just because you don't want it to be this fella Wright doesn't mean that it's not.
Afternoon, Mr. Greenwood. Lost any more sheep at all?
I weren't expecting you.
You didn't answer my question, Mr. Greenwood. Have you lost any more sheep?
No. Should I have?
I take it you've heard what happened.
I just saw all them police cars and ambulances and thought it must be bloody Monte Carlo rally.
You didn't see any other cars or anything up at the house a bit earlier, did you?
No. And I can't say I'd tell you if I had. Palin got what we're coming to, and I can't say I'm right, sorry.
What time are you usually up and about of a morning?
6-ish. I've only a few cows, but they need milking.
How long does that take?
Oh, I'm usually through by 7.
And then what do you do? This morning, what did you do?
I made my breakfast.
Have it on your own, do you?
Ah, if my lad's not here.
And this morning?
I were alone.
Where's your lad?
How should I know? He does what he wants.
So you weren't anywhere near the house until you heard the police cars and the ambulance arriving?
That's right.
As an alibi, Mr. Greenwood, I have to tell you this. It couldn't be much thinner. You can't prove a word of it.
I can't help that, can I?
You won't deny you made threats against Mr. Palin when you were in my office.
I meant him and all if he'd had any more of my sheep. Somebody never gave him the chance, did they?
I have a feeling it's going to be a long, hard haul.
A man like Palin's probably got more enemies than friends.
A lot of legwork, Sergeant.
Crossing Greenwood off, then, are we?
For the moment. But let's not forget about him.
And is that everything during the past 3 days? Yeah, well, what about vehicles recovered that were stolen in the south or over Manchester way? No, we'll make certain we're the first to know, will you? Yeah, nothing. Well, I think I'm going to call it a day. How about you?
Well, there's something, I'm sure of it. Something.
Like what?
Tarnhill House? I don't know. Something not right, only I'm bloody if I can put my finger on it.
Sleep on it. Good night.
How soon before he can be interviewed? Well, it's essential for us to know whether he can identify the driver. Just look at some photographs. I see. Well, thanks for letting us know anyway. Not sure whether it's good news or not. No, I don't suppose it does make much difference to him, but it might to us. Bye. Apparently his injuries are wholly consistent with having been knocked down and run over by a vehicle of some kind. Which makes me think it might be right after all. Waits for him to arrive, knocks him down and away. Any joy?
Not a lot. No, I think it's fair to say it wasn't quite as fruitful as we'd hoped.
I'm sorry.
Sergeant Tunn's still a friend of yours, is he, Sergeant Beck?
I know him, sir.
Nice bloke. Yes, very helpful too, wasn't he, Cole?
Oh, definitely. Got to know our way around Manchester pretty good, thanks to him.
You know what we've been doing all day? Just sitting in a motor, driving round Manchester all day, thanks to him.
No leads?
Wright was never in Manchester, lovey. Tunstall knows it, and your sergeant here knows it. Wild bloody goose chase. He ever pulls a stroke like that again, I'll have his bloody warrant card.
No idea what they're talking about, man.
Hey, listen, pal. What's happened to your windscreen? Hey,
No, I'm sorry. There's nothing like that been handed in. Well, if it is...
7189 to Hartley.
Yes, I've got your address, Mrs. Hudson.
7189 to Hartley.
Yeah, righto then.
7189 to Hartley.
Go ahead, 7189.
Oh, it's me, Sarge. Is it legal to drive round with no windscreen?
Say again?
I've just seen this van, Sarge. It had no windscreen, no road tax, and the back number plate was falling off.
So what did you do?
Nothing. It drove off like before I could stop it.
Hard luck. Did you get the number?
The thing is, Sarge, I know him, the driver. He used to go to the same school as me.
Well, in that case, why don't you have a quiet word with him? Point out to him that his vehicle does appear to suffer from a number of defects, and if you see him out in it again in the same condition, you'll do him.
Right, Sarge.
Come in. I get the distinct impression you know something I don't.
When we were up at Tarnhill House yesterday, there was something bothering me. But it wasn't till I was shaving this morning that I clocked what it was.
You know, it's a complete fallacy that women spend most time in the bathroom. Tom's the same. What have you been doing in there, I say to him, and he says, thinking.
Not enough booze. I mean, he's supposed to be opening that place in 10 days, right? So, you go in the bar, and he's got optics up, but his shelves are damn near empty. I've just been up there checking his stocks against his invoices, and from what I can make out, there's less than half the booze there that he's paid for and had delivered.
So you reckon he's been turned over?
I reckon when he arrived yesterday morning, he found them bang at it, tried to stop them, and they ran him down.
Doesn't sound like the kind of stunt an escaped convict from London would try and pull. Does it to you, Sergeant?
Local, man. It's got to be.
I've never seen it before.
Excuse me, Mr. Greenwood.
Clear off, you! I don't need you! I can handle this one myself!
Mr. Greenwood!
Shut up! Shut up, you! Charlie, shut up! I'll have you, no problem. I'll not take that from you. You are, you're dead. You'll be dead if I get you. I'll get you.
7189 to Hartley. 7189 to Hartley, come in, please.
7189, Hartley. What is it this time?
I'm out at Tarnhill Farm, Sarge. I think I need some backup.
What are you doing there?
You told me to, Sarge. To see the lad that owns that van. Only I think he's dead's trying to murder him or something. I mean, they know I'm here, but it sounds like someone's getting killed in there.
Bellin, could I speak to either Mr. Winder or Mr. Funnell, please? Oh, are they? No, no message, thank you. Bye. They're not there. Apparently they've gone down to the hospital.
Bullying the nurses to let them see Palin, I'll bet.
Do you think I should ring them there?
Excuse me, Mum. We've just had a call from Bentley. I can't really make out what's going on, but I think he needs assistance.
Where is he?
Tarnhill Farm, Mum. That's what I thought you ought to know.
What on earth is he doing there?
Bit of a long story, Mum.
Well, if he's taking on Greenwood, I'm not surprised he needs assistance.
Well, from the sound of it, it might be more serious than that.
How do you do it, Roland?
Eh? Sergeant Parrish told me to have a word with him.
The point is, he probably wouldn't have done if you told him who you were talking about.
Anything new happened?
No. It's been dead quiet for quite a while now.
Where's your son, Mr. Greenwood?
Gone.
Gone where?
How should I know? I told him to clear off and not bother coming back.
There's been a constable out in the lane the last half hour, Mr. Greenwood. He hasn't seen anybody leave.
He wouldn't, would he? Not if somebody slipped out that way. You can give over chasing him. I've done your job for you. Took my belt off to him and give him the hiding he deserved.
Taking the law into your own hands again, eh, Mr. Greenwood?
I'm his father. Well, me taught him the difference between right and wrong, and if he's forgot, it's my job to remind him.
With your belt?
I don't care what you think about me. I'll not have a lad of mine thieving, no matter what. And I don't need you to tell me what to do about it.
How about telling us how it all started?
You tried to bring him up right. I never spared him. Life's not spared me much. You just put your head down and get on with it. You don't owe, you don't beg, you don't steal. You make best of what is. Work. You don't go bloody thieving. I've just told you.
You've told us he's been thieving, but not what?
I'm not simple. If you didn't know, you wouldn't be here.
The constable only came to talk to your lad about his van, Mr. Greenwood, and we're only here because he reported hearing blue murder. Now, do you think you could be a bit more specific, please, and tell us exactly what's been going on?
Sorry, ma'am, excuse me. But I thought you ought to see these. I found them in the back of Ronnie's van. There's another and all full of vodka.
Well, Mr. Greenwood.
Any more, are there?
If all this came from where I think your son nearly killed someone yesterday, Mr. Greenwood.
Aye.
But don't you think that's a bit worse than thieving?
Not when it's a fella like Palin.
Well, you may have belted your Ronnie for thieving, Mr. Greenwood, but when we catch him, he's likely to be charged with a good deal more than that, including assault causing grievous bodily harm. And while we're at it, I've half a mind to charge you with obstructing the police and withholding evidence.
I wouldn't put it past you.
Sergeant Beck to Hartley.
We'll catch him, no problem. According to his father, the lad's story is Palin fired at him and smashed the windscreen. The lad lost control of the van and knocked Palin over by accident. Could have happened that way, I suppose. Which reminds me, I must talk to Mr. Palin about his firearm. But in the meantime, I think you can take it he's safe enough where he is, if you're still worried that Wright might be headed this way.
Wouldn't discount the possibility.
As of this morning, I think there have been unconfirmed sightings in Hull, Carlisle, Bristol, Maidenhead and London, of course. You'll be able to write a book soon about all your travels.
Bet there'll be a good chapter on Manchester.
Grateful for the cooperation and hospitality, ma'am. Hope we'll see you in London sometime, so we can reciprocate.
Don't like London, Inspector. Dirty, crowded, bad-mannered place.
Inspector.
Ma'am.
Gentlemen. Sergeant Beck.
Ma'am.
I wonder what the newspapers would make of it if a policeman was ever charged with wasting police time.
Reckon they'd enjoy that, ma'am.
Please don't feel you ever have to do that again. But thanks all the same.
Can't do nothing right, can we?
Next on Drama, we catch up with London's finest police. The good folk of Sun Hill are on the beat. In the bill.